So if you're not hearing anything, don't panic. It's because we're not saying anything right now. So this is a test to make sure that you can hear. And if you now hear me, take a deep breath, let it out, and go, oh, okay, I was worried. Because some people are just getting used to Zoom. Some of us have been on Zoom like nobody's business. So if you're now hearing me, you know you're okay. I'm going to type in the answer as well, just in case you still can't hear me. So we'll do that too. We're going to be starting in just a couple minutes, but just wanted to let folks know so they could relax. You are in the right place. Everything is going well. We're just waiting until we gather everybody. So the 9:20 time. So it's all happening. It's all okay, just so you know.
Good morning. Welcome to the first virtual Care Day Symposium, hosted by Sid Jacobson JCC. I am Taylor Herbert, the Director of Specialized Services, and I am joined by Joe Wasserman, the Supervisor of Specialized Senior Services, and our outstanding community sponsors to bring to you a morning full of knowledge, resources, and support. This morning, you will have the opportunity to hear from some of the top professionals in the field of aging, including Teepa Snow, the world-renowned dementia care specialist. If this is your first time hearing Teepa, or you are a Teepa follower like me, I promise we will all learn something today. Thank you to Family First Companions for providing CEUs to social workers for their participation. I would now like to take a moment to applaud Joe Wasserman and his team on their dedication to our Adult Day program members and family caregivers, especially throughout the pandemic, and their hard work to make today possible. Joe and team, thank you. I am proud to call you my colleagues. On March 12th, the JCC closed our doors such as the rest of the world. I believe we will all agree the last 7 months has been very challenging, and the value of community during hard times is vital. The JCC reinvented ourselves to continue to be here for the community. We became a virtual agency. Many of our services are still virtual today. Today's presentation is focused on caregiving for a loved one with dementia. At Sid Jacobson JCC, we also recognize the importance of self-care for caregivers. Our Senior Services Center provides daily programs on Zoom to vibrant seniors, such as current event discussion groups, stimulating lectures, book clubs, trivia, and so much more. Sometimes taking a few minutes for yourself can be exactly what you need to recharge. I would now like to turn it over to Joe to share what our Specialized Senior Services team has been up to.
Thank you, Taylor. As Taylor said, I'm Joe Wasserman. I'm the supervisor of the Specialized Senior Services Department at Sid Jacobson JCC. And since the outset of the pandemic, we have offered a number of different services, both virtual and in person. We have, through the Community Needs Bank at the JCC and our volunteer department, we were able to identify a number of needs in the community with our seniors and our adult day program members, and we were able to mobilize a variety of different items, perishable and non-perishable food items, masks for those who needed them, cards from the Children in the Early Childhood Center at the JCC, animatronic pets for individuals with dementia. That was through the help of Nassau County Office for the Aging. Most recently in person, we have been running what's called the at-home respite program. At home being the key words, not in home. At home, we actually are able to go to the homes of our adult day program members and outside, socially distant, with masks on, provide one-on-one programming for 1 to 2 hours a week. This has been with the help of our amazing team of staff, and this has been going on since August. On the virtual side, we have been providing a number of different caregiver support groups for spouses. We actually are now running 3 virtual, and we are running 1 in person outside at the JCC under the tent. But I would say our biggest achievement throughout this pandemic has been the virtual adult day program. This was back in March when we first identified the need to go virtual completely. We jumped into action and we launched a daily virtual adult day program, which we send out every night, Monday through Friday, to all of our 150 plus families across 3 sites. And the program entails a lot of what we would be doing in person, just virtually. We do cognitive activities, we do physical activities. We've done music with this really good piano player I know. His name's Joe Wasserman. You might have heard of him. And we've done art with our nematherapist, Derek. We've offered a number of different programs, both on Zoom and through different YouTube links. It started fairly primitively, and it's worked its way to a daily Zoom that a number of our participants have said that they look forward to and they miss when we don't have them on a day. Maybe it's a holiday and we're not able to have them. So I can tell you more about it. I'd really like to show you. We've created this video. It's a short video, I promise, but I think this captures really what we've been doing over the last few months. So without further ado, enjoy.
program is designed for the entire family because the illness impacts the entire family. Without our program, individuals would be at home progressing faster into the illness.
You guys like what we do? Absolutely.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good day.
Everybody stay healthy, stay safe. You guys did awesome.
I'm saying goodbye tomorrow.
Bye.
Shout that.
All right, we'll see you next week.
I hope that was as powerful for all of you to watch as it was for us to do and participate in. I'm going to turn it back over to Taylor. She's going to introduce our world-renowned keynote speaker.
Without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce Teepa Snow, the world-renowned dementia care specialist.
All right. So I'm coming on. Yeah, I'm here. You're there, but we're all together. That's the cool part. And what's amazing, what this team has done is you've done what we've done, which is switch basically a program that was 95% in person and personal and up close and intimate into something that holds true to that, even though we're dealing with this thing that no one imagined would be like it is, or last as long as it is, or has had the devastating impact it has had in the world that we live in. And yet we're still here, and yet some of us aren't. Some of our really good friends, some people that were really vital in our life, people that we love and cherish, and we can't see them, we can't be with them in the same way. And so what I'm going to talk about first in my first session is we're going to talk about this thing that's happened. And I'm going to share a few slides, but I'm not going to actually keep sharing slides. They will be available to you. I mean, so we do want to make sure they are available, but I am going to share some other things because what many people have experienced and are experiencing is very real. And quite frankly, it's devastating. It was hard enough to live with dementia, to live with someone who was living with dementia, to love someone who's living with dementia, to try to support and care for a group of people who were living with dementia in a residential setting, in a day center setting, in a community place. It's hard work. And so we were already working really hard at trying to build a community of inclusion, build a community that better understood the brain changes that come with dementia and how complicated it is, when frequently it hits you upside the face, sideways, and you didn't even know it was coming, because dementia and COVID have some things in common. They're both invisible. They both can be deadly, but they also can basically have symptoms that people don't notice And so you think everything's fine, but somehow what's fine may not be fine for everybody. And so because we care about everyone, we make choices. And these choices are difficult and hard and miserable choices sometimes. And they actually, it's more complicated than we want it to be. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to just prompt everybody to know that the PowerPoint that I'm using today and the one I use later on today will be up on our website, available at this location, and the folks at Sid Jacobson know how to get there and how to access it, so they can share that with you as well. You don't have to scramble to try to get this. It'll be up for 2 weeks. You can copy it, you can download it, you can print it off, whatever you want to do with it in order to access it. If it's helpful to you in written format, please feel free to do that. What I'm going to do right now, however, is bring up some of the things that, what has happened now that we've had COVID-19 and what is its impact or effect on dementia care? Well, what's changed? Well, frankly, these days, unfortunately, as a society and as a care system as a whole, we are much more focused on COVID-19 than we are on dementia, people living with dementia, families trying to figure out what to do about this thing called dementia that is in their life, healthcare providers trying to figure out the details of dementia. We are so focused on COVID. It's like we've lost our memory and understanding about what is dementia in many ways. And I'm not trying to be ugly, I'm being realistic. I'm looking at the data that's coming in. So what we know from the data that's coming in is the scary part. And the scary part is that there has been this many unintended impacts and unintended effects for people living with dementia, for their families, and for their care providers. I mean, it's just been, it was missed for all too long because we were all in emergency mode. But now it's been going on 7, moving into 8 months for many people. And when that happens, you can't do something for 7 to 8 months and call it an emergency. Humans aren't designed that way. We can't live in an emergency state constantly. It's exhausting, it's overwhelming, it's devastating. And what we didn't do after the initial emergency is start mostly, now I'm going to say, except Sid Jacobson really did say, okay, this is an emergency, but we got to figure out how we're going to survive and thrive within this emergency situation. So they are so far ahead of the curve compared to most organizations and most groups, and the breadth of what they're providing virtually is pretty much unheard of on a national scale. I've just got to be honest. I mean, when they're saying things like daily and weekly and monthly, they're doing these things, and they're doing them with this amazing ability to truly engage people. They're comfortable. They've gotten comfortable in this new place. That's huge. But it still leaves these voids that communities and agencies and the health system hasn't really figured out yet, because we're getting all kinds of crazy input and directions, some with information and data, and some just out of left field that doesn't really appreciate and understand dementia and dementia in special populations, which is what we basically are talking about when we just talk about dementia, but then let's add on special needs or different dementias. And life situations that are unique. So here's the thing, we do have some new routines and habits that are required. I mean, we're supposed to be doing these things. And I think people who are wise and people who have the ability to be somewhat flexible have learned about these new habits and these new routines. They're not horrible, but they are hard. And to think they aren't hard is to basically discount how difficult it is to take in a new routine. It has to be integrated into every single thing you do with your hands, every single thing you do with your body, every single thing you do when you breathe. I mean, it's really something we have to be aware of, and it's invisible. So you have to get it to be part of what you do without interfering with doing, except you have to do things differently because of it. It's highly complicated. And that right there should tell us what one of our biggest issues is with dementia. People living with dementia are not being ornery, they're not being stubborn, they're not being mean, they're not being they're not capable in many cases of doing all these things. And therefore we are getting to a place where we're having expectations about what they should do and how they should do it and how we should do things, which simply for way too many people doesn't seem to be working very well. And how do we know that? Well, we've got some data to show us that. So here's the deal. We have a lot of new challenges to face. I mean, we are facing a lot of new challenges, and we have also lost our familiar supports and resources. So even the familiar, like Sid Jacobson, isn't the same. It's different. And so I'm having to negotiate different when you're stressed or distressed from dementia. And caregiving, well, let me just tell you, it's even more challenging than it was before. And what can happen is people are overwhelmed. And so when people are overwhelmed by distress, we start to see some patterns. And what we have not been able to do yet as a region, a nation, a state, an area, even a group of people, is we have not gotten to a healthy new normal. We don't have the new normal for people living with dementia yet. That's comfortable, that's healthy, that's great. We are working hard, but we are not there. Some of us are working hard and we're facing barriers. We also have families. Families are not to a new healthy normal. There's either being trapped or being abandoned or isolated. Providers haven't gotten to a new healthy normal. So when I say all this, I want to give you sort of like a live example. So I'm going to share a video. Okay, and this is a simulated video, but it's not totally something that might not be the case. So what I'm going to do is, this is a lady, this is Teepa, and it's me, but it's me, imagine me with some dementia. Okay, so I have some dementia, and let's create a little more scenario so you get a flavor of me. So about a year ago, there was a decision by my daughter that after my husband died, we tried keeping me in the house. That did not work well because I had been struggling some with some things. I was having trouble with routines and habits, but when my husband was around, we figured out how to make it. We stumbled around, we got it done. And so it wasn't too hard. It was okay. It was sort of not perfect, but when he died, it became too much. And so we tried some things, and I was not okay with people coming in. And so we tried that. We tried a couple variations, my daughter did, and it just did not go well. And so ultimately, after I fell off the roof trying to clean the gutters and broke my hip, like a year ago, they decided when I came out, we were going to do a rehab stint. In a facility, and then we were going to stay in the facility in assisted living. And I was okay because it was temporary, according to how I saw things. It was just for a while. And, I've been in dementia a long time, so I'm okay with all that. But I know where I'm heading back. I'm heading back home eventually. So I'm in assisted living. I'm mobile. I recovered, did pretty well because I was a pretty physical person. And now here I am. I was in the building. I was fine. I had settled in. And one of the things I did pretty much every morning is, many of you might know from having been to things I'm at, I love coffee. Oh, and it doesn't have to be caffeinated. It just has to taste good because I love the flavor and the smell and the taste of coffee. And I only want a little milk in it, just a little milk. That's all I want. And that's how I start my day. And I start my day about 5:30 or so. And so what I would do is, because I didn't have a coffee pot in my room because they'd found out I wasn't real good at sequencing and I had an impulse control problem. So, it's just part of my dementia. So what I would do is go down, grab coffee, sit at a table, bird watch, chit chat a little bit with people at other tables. I didn't want them at my table. Maybe look at the newspaper, hang out, have another cup or two of coffee, mostly decaf. I just like the flavor. And then I would go outside and do about, let's say 15 laps around a walking path outside. And then I'd come back in, get a little more coffee, and go back to my room. That was my routine in the morning. So I'd just throw on whatever I had on. Then came COVID. And the particular building that I am in, like many, decided we were what CDC recommended, isolate, isolate, isolate. We needed to isolate. We needed to keep people in their rooms. If they came out of the rooms, they were going to have masks and gloves on, but they weren't supposed to come out of their room. They were not to come to the common areas. They were to stay in their room. Now, one more thing about me. When I was there before, what I would do is if I needed something, I had my daughter's number programmed into my cell phone, and I'd call her and I'd say, hey, listen, I need you to stop by and get me some of those little, the little candy bars I like, the whatchamacallits, they're not Snickers. What are those? They've got like hard in them and brown sugar hard in them. You know what I'm talking about. No, not that kind. I don't like that kind. It's the other ones. Yeah, the Heath bars. That's the ones. The little ones, though, just the little ones. Because when they come by and stuff, I give them, and then I only have one or two. I know. I'm real good about the sugar. You know that. Just get them and don't give me a lot of trouble, okay? It's hard enough me being here. Don't push the envelope, okay? All right. So I used my cell phone to get what I liked and wanted from my family. Now, if I needed something for my room, I would come out in the hallway and say, hey, can you get me some toilet paper? I'm out. And of course, staff would go get that for me or say, Teepa, well, you have a roll right. Oh, well, it was under the sink. I didn't see it. Well, I don't keep mine there. So you get the idea of me. I mean, I was pretty functional, but I had my routines. So now what you're going to watch is a situation where we have a young man who's just recently been hired because there was so much change. People actually were not able to continue working because of their own life situations when COVID hit, or they got sick. Some people didn't make it through it. So what you're going to see is a new hire who's been oriented, but isn't really skillful. So let's see what happens for Teepa with the new guy.
Hey, look, I need coffee. I'm gonna go get coffee.
You gotta get back in your room right now.
I need coffee. I tried to call you guys and nobody's answering.
Did you use the right number?
I don't know. You guys change everything.
You have to get back.
No, I'm not going to. I'm going to get coffee.
If you're not gonna be in your room, you have to put your mask on. Where's your mask?
I'm not gonna wear a mask. I'm gonna go get coffee.
You have to
get out of.
You have to wear your mask if you're gonna be out right now.
I'm not staying here. I'm done. I'm out of here.
Oh dear. All right, so here's what I'm going to ask people to do, because now it's time for you guys to do a little work, because I've been doing all the work. What I want you to do is, this is where chat comes in. If you look at the bottom of your screen and you have either a mouse or a keypad, go down to that chat function and click on it. And if you haven't done this yet, what I want you to do is go to the bottom of your little white box that popped up, and it will say something like all panelists. And what I'd love you to do is have it say all panelists and attendees. To do that, go to the little down arrow. Go to that little down arrow thing next to the words and click on it, and you will see now that you can make it be all panelists and attendees. And that's what you want to do. And now what you're going to do is, so you watch this thing with me. As you looked at it, what were some of the things you noticed going on with Teepa and the young man, Matthew? What did you notice about the two of them? What did you notice? So this is your chance to do a little thinking and talking about what you just saw and heard. Was it a good outcome? Was it a bad outcome? Yeah, not connecting, you're absolutely right. Teepa does not like change, and this thing called COVID required some change. So what about Matthew? What's his biggest challenge? What did you notice about Matthew? What was he trying to do? Yeah, he was being confrontational. Why was he being confrontational? Why? Was it because he was being mean? I mean, was he trying to be mean, or was he trying to do something else? he was trying to keep her safe because he's been just recently hired and oriented, and his main mission, his agenda, what he was told was that you have to help people stay in there. You got to keep them in their rooms. They're not supposed to come out. And so he was actually told, you need to hold the stop sign up and tell them, whoa, stop, because people with dementia have to be reminded about stuff because they don't remember things. So what do you know about Teepa? So I'm going to play it again because I want us to get really tuned in, because this is what happened. We thought Teepa didn't remember things. Matthew thought Teepa just needed a reminder. And Matthew isn't that skilled. He just got on the job and he's trying to use what they said, which is she has memory problems. You got to keep her in a room. And they also told him she has a sign right next to her door that says, use the call bell if you need something. And he actually delivered her breakfast tray with the coffee early, because they do know that Teepa likes her coffee really early. So he brought her a cup of coffee really early. So let's go back and let's look at this again. I want to share it with you again, because I want us to realize, wow, we need some work here, because Matthew didn't do any of this to cause harm, but unfortunately, because he missed some stuff and he pushed an agenda that wasn't Teepa's agenda, all these unintended side effects of being isolated are starting to come to the fore. So I want you to watch what happens here again, and I'll pause it because I want us to think about it.
Hey, look,
Okay, so Teepa's using an old habit, the old habit of when I need something from staff, I come out and I ask them for it. Because now this is where we need to recognize Teepa is trying to use her cell phone to call staff, because she used to call her family, and she gets the idea that she's not supposed to come out. She's supposed to call when she needs help. She's got about half of what she needs. So what is she actually supposed to be using when she needs help to call staff? The call bell. And there's even a message right by the door. What's the problem with dementia? Details of new ability. So because of this social isolation and possible progression of dementia without noticing it, Teepa can't learn the new. She got some of it, so everybody thinks she's getting it. No, she's using the old habit of the cell phone of calling for help, but now she's trying to call a number. At best, it'll be the front desk. Otherwise, it's her daughter's number, but her daughter isn't available. And so she's not getting an answer. And she thinks they're not answering her call. So let's look again.
I need coffee. I'm going to go get coffee.
You gotta get back in your room.
And Matthew, he's not trying to be ornery, but he's panicking because she's coming out and she's moving. And so then he makes it worse.
Right now.
No, I need coffee. I tried to call you guys and nobody's answering.
So she reinforces, I did try to follow the rules. I get that there are these new rules, but I tried and you didn't answer. And Matthew now is scrambling to think of a reason why you wouldn't answer, even though he knows, like, well, you didn't use the call bell, but he knows not to say that. He got that much in the training. Don't be confrontational. But what he doesn't realize is he's still being confrontational.
Did you use the right number?
I don't know. You guys change everything.
You have to.
Oh, there you have it right there. In Teepa's mind, you guys change everything. I don't have any control. Everything's different. I can't figure this out. Therefore, I need comfort. I need coffee, because that's my comfort thing. And so Teepa is going to a comfort intake because nothing seems to be right. But she also, what has she been doing in the room? We took away her place she used to go, things she used to do, without realizing it. Man, we've made this really, really hard for all of us. So Matthew then does this physical thing of putting the stop sign up. Now he is to the side, but his mouth and his face, is he young? Does Teepa look like she's young? You can say, no, it doesn't bother me. I've lived hard. I've done my time. No. So a young guy is trying to tell me what to do. And you didn't do what you were supposed to. Ooh.
No, I'm not going. I'm going to get coffee.
If you're not going to be in your room, you have to put your mask on.
Now, of all the things to say right now, if you could wave a red matador cape in front of a bull, this would be it. Because you've got to put your mask on. What's the chance that Teepa will actually go and put her mask on at this moment? What do you think? On a scale of 1 to 10. I hope somebody said 0. There's no way. And I'm going to go, there is no way she's going to put that mask on. She would, I mean, ooh, baby. If you could have brought one thing up that is designed to make her blow her stack and lose whatever emotional control she has. She was impulsive before. I mean, we've seen it. That was a symptom of her dementia. How impulsive is she now? Man, she can't put the brakes on. She can't pull back on the reins. And what we're seeing in the young person is an equal difficulty at impulse control. Well, since he's only 19, I'm not surprised. He doesn't have a fully developed frontal cortex to start with. I mean, he's working with a half deck. She's working with a partial. This is not going well. And so what does she decide? Now, this is where people will use words like Teepa's aggressive, Teepa's agitated, Teepa swinging her coffee cup around. She's probably going to hit him. No, she's not. Watch what she does. When we think about people being impulsive and having problems, I want you to think fright, flight, fight, hide, or seek. Because that's what your primitive brain does when it feels threatened. It goes, then you will see flight. I need to get out of here. Fight. I'm going to take out the threat. Hide. I've got to hunker down and hide. I've got to get a safe place. Or seek, which is I got to get out of here. I got to seek a safe place. I got to seek somebody who's going to listen to me. So.
Where's your mask?
I'm not going to wear a mask. I'm going to go get coffee.
You have to wear You have to wear your mask if you're.
So in this moment, what you see is somebody who can't think. This is not a thinking brain going on right now. Matthew keeps sharing, you've got to wear a mask. You've got to wear a mask. Even though he knows that's not going to happen, she's always, I'm not going to wear a mask. I'm going to go get coffee. And rather than taking this moment to say, you want coffee, let's get coffee. Instead, he continues to think, I need to get her to behave herself. And so what ends up happening?
I'm going to be out right now.
I'm not staying here. I'm done. I'm out of here.
Ooh, and what you can't see is at the end of the hall, there's an emergency exit. Fire code. And on the door of the emergency exit says, push this bar for 15 seconds and door will release in emergencies. And right outside there is a vestibule that leads to an opening to the outside of the building, which leads to a patio area, which has a fence, but it also has patio furniture. And if Teepa gets enough in a seek mode, remember how she got her hip broken in the first place? What was she doing when her hip got broken? Anybody want to clue me up? Yeah, she was cleaning gutters on a ladder. So have we actually reduced risk or increased risk? What's really dangerous now? That she's going to make a break. If Matthew goes after her, she may go from a flight behavior to a fight behavior. She may turn on him and she may feel trapped. And when you feel trapped, then you do things that you would never have done. Her brain is already not working, and we're going to make it even worse. It all started with a request for coffee and a recognition that the way you told me to communicate isn't working with me. So what we have to recognize is when we step in closer in a situation where somebody is in a fright, flight, fight, hide or seek mode, and we keep going, we are increasing the risk that it will become dangerous. And what Matthew unfortunately has done is increase the risk that Teepa could in fact contract COVID. The very thing that we've been trying to avoid. And she has been safe for 7 months from COVID. with the measures people put in place. However, what we didn't do is figure out how she was going to live her life with COVID. We didn't get the new normal. And this is like a micro example of what's missing. And so I want to pause here because what I want us to do is go look at all the things that happen when we socially isolate people living with dementia and their care providers without supporting. So here's the thing. We will get physical changes if we do not build more physical activity that's designed for the situation into their day. They will lose endurance, flexibility, strength, coordination, and balance. There will also be, and has been shown, that there will be a change in blood pressure baseline and blood pressure modifications or ups and downs with mobility. So it means I'm more at risk for postural hypotension, which means losing my blood pressure to my brain when I go to stand up and I pass out. But it also means I become more inflamed or distressed and my blood pressure shoots up when I try to do things. I'm having more trouble with blood pressure management and also blood sugar management. The more I'm sedentary or still or not getting up and not doing things like I used to, it's worse. There's also been, in many cases, weight gain, but the weight gain is not muscle mass gain. It's not a healthy weight gain. It's a gain of adipose tissue, primarily frequently caused by immobility and overtaking in comfort by eating, by drinking. So we're taking in things to substitute what we used to do with getting out and going and doing things and engaging, and instead we're seeking comfort by taking in. On the other hand, people who were never comfort drinkers or comfort eaters are losing weight because there's no point to eating and drinking. What's the point of it? So what we're seeing physically is they're actually wearing away on the basic core of the body, and they are losing all their stores and they are losing muscle mass, and they are becoming more and more frail unless we built an activity program, a physical movement activity program that sustains and maintains. We also know that lack of activity during waking time increases the risk of poor quality sleep and more drowsing in the day, but more sleeplessness or poor quality sleep at night. And that happens simply because we're not active enough and we're not generating enough up and down. Additionally, being out in day, being out during the day, before lunchtime typically, is what stimulates the melatonin cycle, which helps all of us. And we've started doing some passive sedentary things like watching stuff into hours where we never did that. It was always risky to sit stable and static for over 3 hours a day. More than 3 hours of sitting a day is actually detrimental to your brain and to your body. So getting and moving around, even in short bursts, is really helpful. And overall, what we've seen is a really marked increased risk of falls and fall-related injuries, not just a risk. The number of fractures, the number of head injuries, the number of injuries from falls, the number of falls in and of themselves and fall-related injuries has dramatically increased since we started this isolation process. And we still are not where we should be to make this be normalized. The other reality is that there's a risk with social isolation that your social skills deteriorate. They literally deteriorate. You're not rehearsing them. You're not practicing. In the world of dementia, when you don't use it, you will lose it. And so they're not able to follow a conversation like they were. They're not focusing on this dynamic. They've been passive observers of too many things. There's too little conversation taking place that encourages, unless we built it into the program. We will also know that when I'm not seeing you a lot, our relationship is different. But when I'm seeing you all the time and neither of us are getting a break from each other, our relationship is different. Because we used to share things and there were different people in my life and I went different places and you went different places. We had it sort of, if we were doing it well, we had it normalized. Now, for some people, they weren't normalized before, so this has been incredibly devastating. We also know that language comprehension and production skills, unless they're routinely built into the daily routine, will start to go down even faster because those are skills that are particularly vulnerable in dementia. Additionally, personal and emotional well-being. We're starting to see more evidence and more evidence and more evidence that people living with dementia are at particularly high risk for self-abusive kinds of things, like the amount of coffee. If Teepa were not in a controlled environment, she would probably be making coffee, and without thinking, she might make it with a lot of caffeine. And if she has a cardiac problem and she takes in a lot of caffeine, she could actually produce arrhythmias. But the other thing is when she gets a lot of caffeine on board, it's going to make it difficult for her to rest or to sleep or to settle. But if she's drinking a lot of coffee, she may also be having problems with continence because it may make it more difficult for her to be able to get to the place where she would go. And then we have neglect. And so when I say these things, yes, I am talking primarily about people living with dementia, but the other reality is for us to recognize that's not the only group I'm concerned about. It's also people who are trapped or abandoned as family members or staff. Providers of care have a higher risk of self-abuse or neglect. And they talked about that. I mean, the folks were talking about the need to give yourself breaks, the need to support yourself, the need to figure out how to do it and pick a coping that's a healthy coping. Because what we're finding out is an increased risk of anxiety, depression, and challenges to your own sleep cycle, eating behaviors, activity levels, because of the changes. And it's not what anybody likes, wants, or needs. So one of the ones that historically has been used is alcohol and medications. And what we're seeing is people are trying those again without the right program to support use. And what ends up happening is people are often, without meaning to, abusing medications or neglecting themselves or neglecting a situation just because we don't know what else to do. I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm worn out. I don't feel, when we're depressed or we have depressive symptoms, when we're anxious, we're overwhelmed, that's our primitive brain saying, I don't feel supported, I don't feel safe, I don't feel like it matters. And so what we also know is apathy is on the rise. And people who experience apathy are much more likely to have other health problems start to escalate because I don't care. I can't care because the part of my brain that would allow me to care isn't working. I don't have pleasure seeking anymore. I can't find anything that makes me feel good, that makes me feel good enough. And that means what I'm not doing, quite honestly, is producing endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin at levels that sustain me. So what we're going back to are old patterns, old things that now, if we had healthy old coping patterns, we're in great shape because we went back to except if COVID means you can't use them. Because some people used to go to the gym. Some people used to go out and have coffee with a friend. Some people used to. So that's where we're also finding this unintended impact is after 7 months even, we still haven't found some take the old, modify it, make it new. That's an unusual thing. And so Sid Jacobson, as I said, I'm all over the globe essentially, and I'm here to tell you what you have where you're at is one of the most advanced practices for this to try to help. We also know that from prisoners and even some of the more horrific histories of the world, when we keep people in one environment for a really long time, and we don't change the environment in any way from their perspective, what we increase the risk of disengagement, just not even being there, people go try to find their own place inside themselves rather than be engaged in the world outside, or intense exploration of that setting that's either unsafe or risky. So people start doing things in that environment. Now, again, let me point out that before there was ever COVID, how did Teepa end up breaking her hip? because this is the thing that what we have to sort of bring into the mix, which is hard, but what do we need to bring into the mix? What's the deal? You want to know what the deal was? Teepa was already doing intense exploration of her environment when she was in that home that she lived in with her husband for years. And so she was doing things that weren't safe. Her daughter had actually said, Mom, we'll come by on the weekend and get the leaves out of the gutter. Because Teepa was in the house by herself and she'd already lost her driver's license. She was spending way too much time exploring and deciding to do things. So the other part of it is when we try to limit things, it actually causes the brain to be less active and less engaged. And then when it does activate, it will do things in an unsafe way. And that's what we've seen with Teepa. So I wish that were all, but what we also know is anxiety and depression. So what we're also noticing with Teepa, she's both anxious and she's depressed. But Matthew is really anxious. And it's not just Teepa, we've got two people who are having issues. And what we want to recognize is the problem with dementia is it makes it hard to figure out exactly what's going on. And when we add COVID on top of it, well, quite frankly, sorting through all that might take us a little too much time. So what I'm going to do instead is show you a different scenario. Because I want to show you what can happen if we build some new skills. But it does take the effort of learning new things and applying the new things you learn. So Matthew really was stuck. So let's take a look at someone else who has some skills. And this is somebody who works with Matthew, who works the same shift, but on alternate days. And she heard about, oh my heavens, what a mess. They had to sedate her, they had to bring her back. I mean, oh yikes, it's been a mess. And they knew it was sort of challenging, but the communication, it's all about communication. We're going to cover that a little bit later, but let's see what happens when we get a different helper.
Hey, I need coffee. I'm going to go get coffee.
You got to get coffee.
I've called and nobody answers.
And nobody answers.
No.
That's wrong. That's not the way.
I don't know, you people don't even follow through on it.
I'm so sorry.
Well, it's not right.
It's not right.
I'm just going to go get coffee.
You need coffee. Okay,
Yeah.
listen. I can help.
I'm going to pause right here. Because what do you notice is totally different this time? What is changing? And it wasn't Teepa, it started off the same. What really got very different very rapidly? What did you notice? What's the big difference? Melanie is responding to Teepa. She is not letting herself go into that primitive, scary brain. She's going, hey, no, oh yeah, you need coffee. And you're absolutely right. That shouldn't have happened. I am so sorry. That we should have answered. Instead of Teepa, you have to use a call system. Teepa, you got to get back in your room. She's making this seem absolutely normal. Here's our new normal. This is new normal. Teepa thinks she can use a cell phone call staff. We're going to have to come up with a new game plan because that ain't working. What we also know is that Teepa needs her routine. And so what Melanie did, now this was tricky. Melanie had in her pocket prepared for this. She brought extra things. So she brought in a baggie gloves. And she brought gloves and she pulled them out of her pocket. She also put her hand out and said, I can get the coffee. I have a favor to ask of you, essentially. Because what her brain realized is, the problem, Teepa doesn't know what to do with herself. She came flying out of here because she's bored, but she's also overwhelmed, but she's tired, but she isn't. And she's seeking comfort, and I need to provide comfort. And the thing I know about Teepa's history is she's always been a very active, busy, engaged person. And we're asking her to stay in a room by herself. Teepa went all over the place, did a whole bunch of stuff. Didn't work well when she was at home. So what are we going to do? Melanie has a little area set up here because she's sort of thinking, I've got an idea. Let me see if it works. So let's see what happens with Melanie's idea. I'm going to back it up a tiny bit because what she did is called a supportive stance. She stayed to Teepa's side. it was supportive in that when Teepa said something, Melanie basically essentially repeated, acknowledging what Teepa says. She acknowledges every message Teepa sends. And the way she does that is she uses a few of Teepa's words and she picks up on what she thinks Teepa means, and then she adds something to it. So I'm going to let you listen to that because it's called reflective listening. And we want to reflect both with words, but also with tone, emotion. Because if Melanie stays really calm and Teepa's upset, now Melanie's not upset, but she needs to acknowledge Teepa's distress state because Teepa's in distress. So let's listen to how she uses her voice and her body and her eyes, because those are the three ways we communicate. Let's see what she does here with this. Let's watch really carefully. Watch how she pauses and watch how she uses her body, her eyes, and her voice.
I need coffee. I'm going to go get coffee.
You got to get coffee.
I've called and nobody answers.
And nobody answers.
No.
Okay, so you heard it twice and you saw it twice. She swung her body out of the way a little bit and she said, you need coffee. You call, nobody answered. And she's showing open hands and she's looking at the phone that Teepa's showing her.
That's wrong. That's not the way.
I don't know. You people don't even follow through on it.
I'm so sorry.
Well, it's not right.
It's not right.
I'm just going to go get coffee.
You need coffee. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. It's not right. Oh, you need coffee. Do the word oh. Oh. Do it. Oh. Now go ahead and try it again. Oh. Now notice how I'm leaning back when I say, oh, you need coffee. Surprise, I got your message. Now what she did is she pulled out these gloves. And then she says,
listen, I can help with the coffee.
Listen, I can help with the coffee. Whew. One thing off the table.
Can you help me?
These gloves. What's the deal with these gloves anyway?
It's so silly, isn't it? It's so silly.
Okay.
But
now, whoa. I want to point out here, as soon as Melanie lifted one of those guys up, what did Teepa recognize right away? Even though it was like this, what did she recognize it as? Oh, these gloves. Social interaction. She's getting some social interaction. And without saying anything more, what does Teepa start doing with, oh, these gloves? She does it. This is a fine motor coordinated skill. I don't know if you've noticed that it's a fine motor coordinated skill. If you've ever tried to get a pair on, when your hands are a little wet, I mean, that'll teach you it's a fine motor coordinated skill. She's getting one on, even though she's doing what? Holding on to the cell phone. And it's because Melanie really has her engaged. Look where she's looking, look what she's doing. Wow, that's actually pretty good.
I'm going to ask you to help me wipe off this nasty, dirty table.
Wipe it off.
Okay, now, here's a heads up, guys. That table is not nasty, dirty. It was cleaned, well cleaned, less than 15 minutes ago. Why does Melanie say that to Teepa, though? What's the value of saying it that way? What's the huge plus of making this be really important? Teepa has a job. Teepa has a really important job. This is a nasty, dirty table. Could you help me? I trust you to do this. You, and notice how I'm framing my face with my hands. You, this person I have encountered, man, are you good at this? You are good at something. I need help. I'm going to get your coffee. If you could help me out, that would be great. And so what it is giving Teepa a thing to do in the immediate environment. This environment where she's safer. So she's not in that environment, the environment of her room. She's actually out. She's gone out. She's actually, this is going to become her new lobby. See, this is the new normal. This chair, this little table next to it is going to become her lobby. So she can see down this hall and that hall and the other hall. She has visual regard of all these people. She can say, hey, I need more coffee, and you can see her. You don't have to wait for her to call. You're going to be able to come back and forth from this place to that place. We recognize, wow, she needs a personal care plan here that takes into account who she is. And we got to get to this new normal. So let's see what happens when we go to this next step.
Off.
Yeah. Hey, Teepa.
Okay, what?
Let's put that in your pocket.
This one?
This one.
This. All right. I'm going to put it back here.
All right.
So it doesn't fall out, because it'll fall.
Wow. Now take a look at her mobility there. Take your arms, if you're capable, and swing them around inside like you're going to put something in your back pocket. And what I'm going to tell you is, whoa, she just really encouraged a lot of shoulder mobility there. And a lot of finger dexterity too, to be able to open your pocket up, slide that phone in, and then put your shirt back down. Wow, pretty nice. And all of that while she's standing. Cool.
If you're not careful.
It will.
Yeah. And I don't understand why you don't answer it when I call.
I'm so sorry.
Now understand, Teepa's brain still hasn't quite settled all the way down, because she's still feeling this distress about this new and different thing. She don't like it. I don't understand why you don't answer. So what we want to do, take your hands and make fists. Go ahead and make fists. This is the hardest thing for us to do. Do this. We got to let go of the idea she's going to use the friggin' call system. Do this. It's off the table. We might as well disconnect it. I know we can't, but we might as well, because it's disconnected in Teepa's brain. She is not going to gain the ability to realize she uses a call system, not a cell phone, or just go into the hall and get help. It's not going to happen. We got to let it go. If we can't let it go, we're making her life miserable and our life miserable by setting us both up for failure. We got to go. It's not going to happen. How are we going to communicate? We got to come up with a new method. We might as well pull that sign down off the door. I mean, if you need to leave it up to show the folks outside that you know how to do your job, fine. But you need a different system. And it advocates for this table and this chair to become Teepa's other spot, to come out where she can see and go, hey. And we have one more thing. We've got the gloves. We're doing pretty good. Let's see what else we could get done going here.
So frustrated when we don't
Never
answer.
had a problem like that before.
Well, I will check into it and see what happened. If you
So
can
what do you need
wipe
here?
this off.
Use this?
Use that.
This thing. This is okay because it's just there.
Now notice that Melanie's showing her things one thing at a time, one thing at a time, one thing at a time. She needs to build this in step by step, because Teepa's brain over this period of time has lost its resiliency. She is no longer able to sequence through. She can't just say, you've got your wipes there, Teepa, I'll be right back. She has to open, show. So the only thing Teepa has to do is pull the wipe off to do the task. We have to simplify tasks because Teepa's brain is not, how many tasks has she been doing? She hasn't. We've had her in a room isolated.
Good part.
Yeah.
I'll be back in a second.
All right. All this, right?
If you don't mind.
The sleeves and the
And
other part
everything,
too.
yeah.
Okay. Not the sleeves. These are something else. The
the
arms of the chair.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, see, this is what people don't get.
They don't.
No, if they did a better job, we wouldn't be in lockup
We
like
wouldn't
we
be
are.
in this situation.
Now, Teepa is doing a little bit of blame game because she's really not liking this new life. Is that okay? Does she need to talk it out? If she didn't have dementia, you want to know what we'd call this? Therapy. We call it therapy. Therapy for anxiety, therapy for depression. We would call this, because she's self-talking, she's saying out loud how she's feeling. That's huge. But also look what she's doing. Look at that activity. Man, she is bending over. She is balancing. She's not you. This is actually an excellent thing for her body, her brain, her eye-hand coordination. Melanie has come up with this thing, and take your hands. And this is why I want everybody realizing when you're trapped with someone, do this. If we can get an activity that lasts 1 to 5 minutes and engages a human body, brain, and spirit, do this. We can keep a heart beating. We can start to normalize 5 minutes at a time from not. Getting into 5-minute segments with transitions that go in and out. We need to think of shorter windows of time to engage people for starting the pumping, starting to re-engage, starting the new normal. If we ask too much of ourselves and too much of them, all we do is wear ourselves out. We need to look for, take your thumb, your index, and your middle. We need to look for the bright spots, the little bits that we can do. Because what we need to find are moments of purpose, moments of pleasure, moments of motion, moments of rest, moments of satisfaction for each of us. We're looking for moments because moments can sustain us. It's when we can't find any light in our day that we start to really see this downward trend. So let's take a look and let's finish this off. Now notice what Melanie went and did while Teepa was working. She went and got Teepa's mask that was hanging right on the back of the door on the doorknob so Teepa would see it on her way out, but she was too distressed.
This is like we're being kept prisoners because people don't know how to clean things.
They don't.
Oh, did you want me to put that on?
Would you mind? I think this one is yours, isn't it?
Yeah, this one, it's my, it's.
So notice Melanie's trying to get the used wipe to give her a fresh one because that's what best practice signals, but here's the reality.
A nice one. I'm not done. I've got.
Teepa ain't giving that one up. And here's the thing, nobody's been in that chair but Teepa. Everybody else is wearing masks and gloves and gowns frequently. Teepa's the one that's around that chair. So guess what? Let it go. Again, we got to figure out what's the risk. What's our risk?
Gotta finish.
Yeah, you mean take the old, you want to keep using that one?
Yeah, oh, this needs to be done.
It does. I'll get some coffee. I'll be back.
Guess whose wipes those are? Those are Teepa's. I mean, that's just Teepa's stuff. That's all Teepa's stuff. That's Teepa's place there.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
It's all to be wiped off.
Oh, you see the file cabinet? That's actually a file cabinet. It's a little file cabinet. Guess what? We have other stuff for Teepa to do in that file cabinet that we can pull out as needed. Because it's not all just about this one thing. We're going to come up with some other things that can engage Teepa.
Pick that up if you
Got
could.
it. Yeah.
Now that's a better job of doing it right
That's
there.
about as good. It's probably as clean as it's been since it's been
Probably
here.
so, because now I can't get the fabric.
No, that doesn't help.
No.
Okay. So,
Coffee.
let's go throw that away.
Oh,
Sure. There's a trash can in here.
yeah.
Okay, so notice where Teepa's heading back to her room. So my purpose in bringing all this up and talking this through this morning, yes, I gave you a person who was fairly high functional. Still, even though she's progressing, she's still pretty able. But if we don't start doing something different, what we will be using, we'll start thinking we need medications. We'll start thinking we need a different environment. We'll start thinking maybe she needs a psych admission. Maybe, and what we really need is a timeout, and we need the new normal. Teepa needs a new normal, which is balancing the risk of her dementia with the risk of her COVID exposure. And it's got to be a balance. Both will kill you. Actually, the one that for sure is going to kill you if nothing else does is her dementia. So this thing about COVID, yeah, it's very real. And I don't want to diminish it at all because it's changed everyone's life. And we've got to pull this off together and do the new normal with COVID. I really, truly believe that. In the second segment, when we get together, what I'm going to do is show you someone who's much more involved. And yet the same principles, the same basic skills that we're talking about. And with the chat, I noticed one final question I'll respond to. How often? We're talking about if every hour we could figure out how to do 5 minutes of something, we would be stimulating a brain so many times when somebody's awake that it helps sustain. Now, does everything have to be that fancy? No. It can be simpler, but it still has to happen. So I'm going to pause here because we have time. And we want to keep things going because what you're going to experience next is not me. It's all the amazing people who sponsored this event because they believe in you. They not only believe in you, they believe in themselves and what they do. And what I'm also going to say to you is they are a resource. And whether or not you want or like or need them right now, I'm going to encourage you to keep paying attention because as you gather information about this world out there that's the new, it may not feel like it's normal to think about these things, but we want to give ourselves just a little space if you can to do this thing called change. because the reality of dementia, the one thing I can guarantee you is things will continue to change. And if we're unprepared for it, we will be even more in our fright, flight, fight, hide or seek brain, but we won't be able to use what we find because we're in such distress. And at least one of us, when somebody's living with dementia, has to be able to go, this is hard. What do I need to let go of? What do I need to take in? And what do I need to change so I can support you with your change? So I'm going to turn it back over to Taylor and Joe and the crew at Sid Jacobson, who are ready to offer you some alternatives and options. And in the second section, I will make sure that I will give you some 5-minute ideas for folks. Okay? I'll be around, but I won't be visible.
Thank you, Teepa. That was wonderful as always. I now would like to show you some videos from our sponsors.
Hi, I'm Wendy Goydell, an elder law and estate planning attorney. Welcome to the offices of Goydell Law Group. For many years, we have been proud supporters of the Sid Jacobson JCC and its adult day programs. We congratulate the JCC for the way it pivoted to virtual programming to provide vital services to you and your loved ones throughout the COVID-19 crisis. At last year's Care Day Symposium, I stood at the podium in the auditorium and spoke about community Medicaid and the Managed Long-Term Care Program. I was able to meet and speak with many of you at our vendor table and answer your important questions. But what a difference a year makes. Today I'm sitting here speaking to you remotely, and that's not even the most significant difference. I'm here to advise and confirm that substantial changes have recently been implemented to the Community Medicaid program. Community Medicaid is a program which pays for all or a portion of the cost of care within your home and at the adult day programs at the JCC. With certain exceptions, the good old days of being able to obtain financial eligibility for Community Medicaid within a month is now over. Here in a nutshell is what you really need to know. As of January 1, 2021, there will be a look-back period for Community Medicaid. So if you apply this coming January, the look-back period will be 3 months back to October 1. An additional month will be added to the look-back date each month after January 1 until it gets to the full 30 months as of April 2023. This means that transfers of assets prior to October 1 will not be subject to the imposition of a penalty for Community Medicaid purposes. While not certain, it is likely that no penalty period will be imposed for transfers made on or after October 1 if your application is submitted and complete on or before December 31, 2020. Fortunately, though, the government did not eliminate the concept of spousal refusal, so if your spouse needs care, he or she can transfer all assets to you at any time without incurring a penalty. However, it's important to discuss the implications of this and other issues with your elder law attorney. In addition to the new look-back period, several changes were made to the medical eligibility requirements. The number of activities of daily living with which an applicant requires assistance will be increased to 3 or more, and a new evidence-based assessment instrument will be used. In addition, no longer will the applicant's treating physician be able to assist with the process. Instead, the medical form filled out by the applicant's doctor regarding the need for personal care services will be replaced by one completed by a qualified independent physician selected by the Department of Health. That physician will not know the applicant's medical history, know the applicant at all, or be familiar with their needs or diagnoses. These hurdles were put into place to make access to the Community Medicaid program more difficult. Navigating the new landscape may be confusing and daunting. That's why it's critical to work with an experienced elder law attorney. For these reasons and more, effective advocacy is essential. At Goydell Law Group, we are ready, willing, and able to assist you through the process. For the past 6 years, we have helped scores of families through concierge care coordination, our flagship holistic practice model. Our clients have critical health and care needs. Our team, including myself, a geriatric social worker, paralegals, and assistants, will work together to create, implement, monitor, and maintain safe and appropriate care plans. We integrate those care plans with the legal documents and strategies to protect you, your assets, your spouses and loved ones, and fund necessary care. And the funding source is typically the Community Medicaid program. Due to the significant changes on the medical assessment side, effective advocacy to maximize the number of hours awarded by the program will be more important than ever. If you work with us, our social worker will be your dedicated care coordinator and private advocate, supporting you and your loved ones throughout the process and even beyond to assist in obtaining the best care possible while enhancing and maximizing quality of life for you and your loved ones. At Goydell Law Group, helping you to safely and successfully age in place is what we are most passionate about. In addition, we strive to educate and encourage our clients to engage in proactive estate and long-term care planning so that if you later become incapacitated, your loved ones will have a roadmap for your care and the management of your property. And when you pass away, your loved ones can follow your instructions without the intrusion, expense, and delay of court proceedings. But no matter what we do, we deliver our services in a compassionate and cost-effective manner. There is absolutely no fee to meet with us in person, over the phone, or on a video conference to obtain the best advice and options for your needs and goals. Please call us when you're ready at 631-390-5600 to schedule your complimentary consultation. On behalf of the Goydell Law Group team, I wish you a year of health and happiness and look forward to seeing you in person at Care Day 2021. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to my program, Creating a Dementia-Friendly Home Environment, Adaptations for the Cognitively Impaired. I am Jennifer Benjamin, and I own Family First Home Companions. For the last 15 years, my mom and I have been providing in-home caregiving services for older adults throughout Long Island and the surrounding communities. The top safety concerns when it comes to dementia include wandering and sundowning, falls, medication mismanagement, household fires, undetected illnesses, and food intake. There are many different changes to the environment to help reduce some of these safety concerns and as well as improve mood. The first being increasing connection to nature, like adding a plant or a fish tank to the room can help that person improve their mood. Adjust lighting and temperature in the home, play music, provide comfortable seating, display directions like signs around the home, reduce noise, and be prepared with pleasant diversions, meaning having artwork ready to redirect the person or a photo album to go to if that person is feeling stressed or agitated. Dementia and the physical environment. Many studies have been done on improving the physical environment to help people with dementia and have shown really good results. Number one is lighting around the home, increasing lighting, adding neon tape to distinguish where the steps are on the stairs, reducing clutter in the walkway to the front entrance of the door or completely clearing the walkway, and increasing lighting outside of the home. Declutter and use color. Take a minimalist approach to furnishing and decorating the home. The less stuff around the home, the better. Add a lot of bright colors and contrasting colors like this blue doormat, which really shows that this is the entrance to this doorway. Support memory loss by using self-adhesive labels, dry erase boards, document organizers, and even a picture dial phone instead of using the numbers on the phone. Electrical appliances and water are another safety precaution. Automatic stove shutoff, pictured here by Fire Avert, can be easily installed, and a faucet control that uses sensors for movement to turn off when the person is done using the water. Doll therapy, another recommendation here for creating a dementia-friendly environment by having either pet dolls or baby dolls. It could help that person to reduce stress and give them a sense of purpose by taking care of the doll. Many studies have been done on the effects of doll therapy for people living with dementia and have shown very positive outcomes with reducing stress and agitation. Prevent wandering by using a GPS locator device such as Project Lifesaver, which you can find through the local sheriff's department, safety locks around the home, and sensors that will detect if that person is exiting the door or even getting out of bed at night. Falls and medication devices are also great tools to have around the home. Fall detection devices that automatically call for help and automatic medication dispensers. Bathroom safety, another big area to prevent falls and accidents, anywhere from an elevated toilet seat to a bath mat. Grab bars around the bathtub and around the toilet are very useful. So to conclude, using lighting and color contrast are very important to help with vision changes and mood. Make eating easier by using finger foods and catering to diminishing taste buds. Support memory loss with labels, signs, and automation in the home, such as the automatic stove shutoff. Change the environment to improve mood by adding plants, adjusting temperature, playing music, comfortable seating, reducing clutter, displaying signs, having those pleasant diversions ready to go. Incorporate aromatherapy, try doll therapy to help with reducing stress, and some safety tips with preventing wandering with GPS locks and sensors, preventing house fires. And one other tip is go on pantry patrol and check for expired food in the pantry and the refrigerator on a regular basis to make sure that person's not going to be eating the wrong foods. For more information about in-home caregiving services, you can call Family First Home Companions at 631-319-3961 or visit familyfirsthomecompanions.com. Thanks so much for joining me today.
My name is Jan Berman, and I'm president of Engel Berman. Our company is a real estate developer, but we specialize in the senior living industry.
I'm Stephen Krieger, and I'm one of the founding partners of Engel Berman. Engel Berman was started in 1997. We noticed on Long Island that all the assisted living that was existing was not purpose-built. It was old hotels that had been renovated to fit assisted living and to take care of the elderly population. We decided, hey, let's do something unique. Let's build a building just for assisted living. And we built the first Bristol at East Meadow.
I'm Scott Berman. I've been a partner with Engel Berman since 2001. Engel Berman formed really with the mission of creating a very high-quality senior housing product, something that really didn't exist on Long Island. We build beautiful buildings, and they really are best in class, well-appointed. They look like high-end luxury hotels.
My name is David Berman. I'm a partner at Engel Berman. There's something amazing about designing a building and spending hours upon hours looking through the plans, moving walls, adding rooms, and when everything works out and people actually using all those spaces and enjoying it, it's a really special feeling.
My name is John Weiss, and I'm a partner at Engel Berman. For me, there's no greater feeling than seeing what we built and what we accomplished and people enjoying it and living there and the care that we provide.
It was always meant to be that it was a place we'd be proud to put our parents. So we went out of our way to make sure that it was the most luxurious, the most comfortable, and we provided the service that we'd expect to have in our own home.
We're taking care of people and families, giving them the little extra things they need to help them get through the day.
We design lots of common areas, including a fitness center, a cinema, a hair salon, several dining venues. We want all of our residents to feel comfortable, safe, and enjoy all the amenities.
Socialization is what it's about at the Bristol. Meeting new people, making new friends, making those new connections. The Bristol Assisted Living communities provide a secure, caring, nurturing, and loving environment for those who need just a little bit of extra help. We also have something that's called the Reflections Neighborhood. It's an environment specifically designed for people with memory loss. We have a staff that's trained specifically to take care of those types of residents.
We're doing something revolutionary in the area of memory care. We met with the people at Feinstein and we created a collaboration with them. You're able to work with these scientists to try to help solve the disease. And then we're taking what we found there and we're using it in all of our Reflections communities across the Bristol brand. And we're also sharing that research with researchers around the country because no one's ever done research in a memory care community before. It's the first time and the only time that we know of this is being done.
We've really developed sort of a culture of caring, and the people who come to work at the Bristol make their life's work caring for people.
Ultimate Care is a senior management company that oversees everything from staffing to purchasing to maintenance, food service, wellness. We've been very fortunate to find a lot of young talent that's looking to grow with us.
We've got tremendous retention rate. People have been with us for 5, 10, 15, even 20 years since the beginning. It's just an amazing team of people who made the Bristol really a huge part of their lives, and it's really become like a family.
It's more than just a job. It's a passion, and it takes a very special person to fill that role.
And it's not uncommon that we meet people people or get letters from people in the community that talk about the Bristol and how it's changed their parents' life or how it's changed their life.
I love that we really get to help people and provide them with an environment that helps them enjoy their lives and really have better quality lives.
I got to vicariously live through my grandfather, who is not with us anymore, but when he was, he lived in South Florida, and he used to come up here for months at a time and live at the Bristol. And he loved it. He had lots of friends. I used to love to go visit him there and hear all the stories, and it made me feel really great about what we do.
The elderly are a very special population. They raised us. They took care of us. As you get older and you have your own kids, you see what it takes to move on and get older and become elderly. The thing that we do is we make their life better. And it's a great feeling when someone walks up to you and taps you on the shoulder and says, God, my mom is so happy. My dad is so happy. They're feeling better. They're smiling.
People walk up and say, you changed my life. Until I moved my mom or my dad into the Bristol, we were scared to take a vacation. We were up all night worrying about them. Once they moved into your community, we had peace of mind. Each of our communities is award-winning for architecture and award-winning for the services that we provide. And our plan is to maintain that by making sure our staff is well-trained, making sure our food service is the best, making sure our activities are stellar, and making sure the people who live in our communities have the best care and making sure everyone's needs are fulfilled every day.
Hi, my name is Ron Fatula. I'm the principal of Ronald Fatula and Associates, and I'm delighted and proud to be a sponsor of the JCC and this event, the Care Day Symposium, because as elder law attorneys for almost 40 years, our goal is to help caregivers, their families, to protect assets, apply for Medicaid, do estate planning, do the Medicaid applications, do the probate, God forbid if needed, special needs planning, guardianships, trust, taxation issues, etc. That's what we've been doing, and we've been helping families such as yours for many, many years. If anybody wants to reach the firm, feel free to call 516-466-4422. That's 516-466-4422. We'd be happy to help you, your friends, relatives, etc. The topic today is living trusts and how living trusts can protect assets. And we do living trusts for so many different reasons. It could be a trust to protect assets for Medicaid purposes. It could be a trust to protect assets for estate tax purposes, to remove assets out of an estate, so you may not have to pay any estate taxes. But the topic today, since we're talking about caregivers, will be that Medicaid Asset Protection Trust. And the Medicaid Asset Protection Trust will not only protect assets for Medicaid purposes and remove assets out for Medicaid, it will also avoid probate. And within that trust, we could actually have other trusts to protect assets for the recipient of those assets. So we can do the asset protection for the individual that creates the trust, but also for the recipient. Maybe the recipient might be grandchildren who you may not want them to get these assets at age 18. We could stretch that out. The recipient or beneficiary might be a disabled individual. Well, we could create a supplemental needs trust as a beneficiary as well. So the Medicaid Asset Protection Trust is truly the gold standard for protecting assets for Medicaid purposes. Why is that? Well, can't we just transfer assets to the children or the beneficiaries and do it so simply without a trust? Well, you can, but there are lots of issues. There are issues because those assets are not protected from creditors of those beneficiaries. What if that beneficiary dies? You'll never have access to that money, possibly. What if there's a lawsuit against the beneficiary. So by simply just transferring assets to the children, one big issue is, what if something happens? You don't want to take any chances with your assets. The other big issue is, and it's huge, what about the tax consequences? So we may want to protect assets like a bank account, a brokerage account, the family home. Let's take the family home. It's a good illustration of why the trust is so important. If the home were simply transferred to the children outright, the children will get that home, but the tax basis is going to be what you paid for that home plus capital improvements. Let's say you bought that home 40 years ago for $50,000, but now the home is valued at $1 million. I would say we're going to have huge capital gains taxes at some point when that home is sold. But if that home were to be transferred into the trust, it would be out for Medicaid. It would be out for long-term care planning. But if the home was kept by the individual, maybe by you, until death, there will be zero capital gains taxes. So the home will be out for Medicaid. We'd even preserve the capital gains tax exclusion if the home were sold during a lifetime. But if it was held until death, we can guarantee there will be zero capital gains. The home would be protected for Medicaid purposes. Same thing with the brokerage account. We'd have that basis step up, and the assets will be protected. So think about how a firm such as Ronald Fatul and Associates can help you protect assets, do the Medicaid planning, and do it with the Asset Protection Trust. This is only one aspect of what we do. We also do estate planning, but we're there for you. We're there for our clients in any elder law and estate planning way. Again, you could reach us at 516-466-4422. Thanks so much.
I think that was the biggest thing for me. The biggest thing for me was that they said, I don't see anything here that we can't care for.
Well, I was taking care of my husband at home. I had home care help, and we were doing pretty well, but all of a sudden he just took a sign of a dive. He has what they call vascular dementia.
I tell all my friends the biggest thing for me was letting go, because after caring for him, well, no one could do it as well as me, you know. But the staff here is absolutely marvelous. I was able to let go.
What does memory care mean? And an artist, memory care means exactly that. We're going to handle the behaviors.
The security, plus the freedom of being able to move around, but yet not being able to hurt themselves.
Whether they're in early stages of dementia or they're progressing through the disease, it's a very kind of laid-back approach.
Every single individual, including the maintenance personnel, know her name. When they pass by, they say hello, talk to her, and in some cases at length.
I walked in, I said, how is he this morning? And she said, you know, Regis is Regis, you know. So, yeah, they do. They understand him.
I don't know what it is, and I don't know if it's just my mom, but personal hygiene has been traumatic, whether it be brushing our teeth or bathing. But the staff here, they definitely get her where she needs to be and get things done that need to get done for her.
They're aware of his condition. They know how dementia people act and react, so they don't get upset when the patients act out or whatever, because they know that they can't help what they're doing.
Artists, they really meet your loved one at where their caregiving needs are. There are residents here that are more independent, and they allow them that independence. They have a good balance.
And One of the critical things that I just never thought to ask to begin with was the ratio is very good.
You know, they all tell me that they like her smile, so I think she's doing a lot of smiling.
And caring for someone 24/7, you know, my patients, yeah, we had our moments.
You know, what would she do at home? She'd sit there and watch TV and sleep, which she can do that here. That is an option, but they have so much else going on that I think she's probably more stimulated here than what she would be at home.
Yeah, we don't have those moments anymore, so that's good.
When they do activities that kind of excite her, I see her, I see my mom. I see my mom. I see her enjoying her life.
She likes the music. She will sing along because the words are up there, but they're jumbled and she can't always get the right word out. But when she sings, because that's a different part of your brain apparently, all the words come out. So I like to see that. Of course, the first time I saw it, I had to hold back the tears. But
as much as he can, I think we enjoy our time together. And he always wants a kiss. Very open to that.
My mom has a ridiculous sense of humor. It's just kind of off the wall. It's come out recently. Since she's been an artist, I've seen more and more of it. More and more of it come to life.
Dawn was out of here last week for surgery, and when we came back and pulled up, the first words out of his mouth were, "Oh, it's good to be home." And of course, that just did my heart wonderful to think that he would actually call this home.
It's like family because everybody knows you, they know you well, they know him well, and I think the smallness of the place adds to that.
And it allows you to kind of have that camaraderie, and you kind of get to know the other family members that's going through the same thing I'm going through.
All in all, I feel very comfortable, and you know, we've had a lot of family come, and they are so impressed. I can't believe you found this place.
I think they're all angels here, and it's because of them that she's as well now as what she is.
Just wonderful, caring people. They are really special, really, really special.
Hi everyone, my name is Jamie Lewis. I'm an estate planning and elder law attorney. Today I'm going to be speaking with you about advance directives, the different types, and the unique importance of each. Before I start though, I'd like to thank the JCC for making this opportunity for us to connect today possible. I'd also like to recognize my colleagues who are participating in today's program. I have tremendous respect for the work they're doing to ensure our loved ones receive quality care and guidance. So we're going through a period of unprecedented uncertainty. It's more important than ever to create certainty where we can for ourselves and those we love. And providing this kind of peace of mind that comes with being prepared, that's what drives me and my team at Hollis, Laidlaw & Simon. One way we can provide peace of mind when it comes to protecting ourselves and our loved ones is through the use of advance directives. But what are advance directives? What do they do? Well, advance directives appoint people to act in your place and on your behalf if you can't. These documents ensure your wishes will be followed and your finances managed in your best interest in case of your incapacity. These instructions and the guidance they contain provide such a gift to the family members appointed to carry out your wishes. Without such documents, they may not know what you want them to do, or worse, they may be stuck unable to do anything at all. In New York, there are generally two categories of advance directives: medical and financial. Let's take a moment to go over the medical directives. There are basically three. First is the healthcare proxy, which appoints someone to make medical decisions on your behalf, and importantly, the way you would if you're unable. But what happens if you don't appoint a healthcare proxy? Well, New York's Healthcare Financing Act has a list of certain groups of people who can make the decision for you. But it's not necessarily who you would appoint, and it doesn't give priority within the list of groups. So it can cause problems, and it can even lead to treatment you never intended to undergo. Next is the living will that specifies your wishes for end-of-life medical care in case the time comes that you can't express those wishes. The living will often goes into significant medical treatment details, so I generally advise clients to keep their living will up to date as the practice of medicine continues to advance by leaps and bounds. The third of the medical advance directives is the HIPAA authorization. You've likely seen and even signed these when you go to the doctor, where you identify to whom your medical information may be released. These are the 3 medical advance directives. Now let's look at New York's financial advance directive, the power of attorney. In some states, one document can cover health and finances, but not in New York. The power of attorney gives the named agent the authority to handle certain or all financial matters on your behalf. It does not provide any medical decision-making authority. An up-to-date power of attorney is so important because without it, if someone loses capacity, no one has authority over their assets to help care for them. Ultimately, there may need to be a guardianship proceeding where a judge decides who has financial decision-making authority over their assets. That can be avoided with a properly drafted power of attorney that includes the needed modifications for each client's situation. So now that we've gone through the types and importance of each of the advance directives, the 2 main points I would like to leave you with today are, 1, advance directives are essential in case of even short-term incapacity for both caregivers and the ones they're caring for. And 2, when you're considering who to appoint in your advance directives, remember that the effectiveness of the advance directives relies on the people you appoint knowing, understanding, and following your wishes. Thanks so much for joining me today, and please feel free to reach out with any questions or if my team and I at Hollis Laidlaw & Simon can be of service to you or your family. All the best.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maureen Nickel, owner of Bright Star Home Care and proudly serving the families here on Long Island. As difficult as it may be to take care of a loved one with Alzheimer's, we have been that much more challenged these past 8 months. Trying to explain to a person with Alzheimer's the need to wear a mask, to stay more socially distanced, the need for constant hand washing, and why it is that we are no longer eating at our favorite diner has presented challenges we could never have imagined. Having taken care of a mom with Alzheimer's for 7.5 years, I share your concerns regarding the ongoing disease progression and the added health risks that the coronavirus has presented. At Bright Star, we take every precaution to keep our aides, our nurses, and your loved one safe and healthy. In addition to the ongoing Alzheimer's and dementia trainings we offer our aides, we have been hyper diligent on teaching proper hand hygiene and the best way to wear an N95 mask. Our aides are also trained to understand that repetitious conversation needs to be dealt with patience and understanding. They understand there is a fine line between providing stimulation and yet not overwhelming. And they also understand that those we care for are not children, and we need to treat them with the respect and the dignity they have earned. There are few guarantees in this world, but I'm going to give you one. I promise that when I am interviewing a home health aide, if for any reason I feel that they would not be the proper person to care for my loved one, then my guarantee is to you that I will not hire that aide at Bright Star. At Bright Star, we strive for the same high standards that you experience here at the JCC. So if you are in need of a home health aide, either for a few hours a day or for 24/7 care, please give Bright Star a call and we will get through this together. Stay healthy and enjoy the Care Day Symposium.
Murphy, and I'm the administrator for Elder Home Care. We are a home care agency located in Huntington. I am sure that you've all experienced firsthand how hard these trying times have affected our elderly communities. Our experienced caregivers can assist your loved ones with their daily activities. These activities include assistance with their personal grooming, medication supervision, meal preparation, escorts to medical appointments as well as recreational, and most importantly, socialization. Our fully trained team has experience caring for seniors affected by neurological challenges, such as dementia, Parkinson's, and multiple sclerosis. We can be reached at 516-405-5910. Thank you.
Doesn't matter how old you are, everyone needs a purpose. The Glen Cove Adult Day Program's been in existence for 35 years. It's an amazing place. I mean, it's vibrant, it's really alive, it's full of laughter and joy. You know why? Because the seniors have so much life.
Their memory of their past has faded in a lot of cases. So what we're trying to do is give them the best now possible. And at the same time, we're offering respite to their caregivers.
Everyone talks about social isolation, but it isn't until you witness it. And it's been devastating.
Enchanted engagements are 6 40-minute sessions that are run throughout each weekday.
We do the programming from 10:30 to 4:30, and then people come on at different times. We do plays, we've done like poetry readings, some like to sing, some like to read, some like to do show and tell. They love it.
One moment of joy can sustain a person through a whole day.
We had one family member that said that her mum was just in bed sleeping all day and was very depressed. So she got her online with us, and by the end of it, I texted the daughter, and she was like, "My mom is still singing to the screen."
They're really responding to this online thing.
It's great. Like when we have someone wandering off screen, we're like, "Come on back." The technology has been a boost.
We can't go back to the way we were.
We're going to blend the two programs because now we have a roster of musicians and lecturers and museums that are coming online with us, trying everything you can to really make sure that that senior that is in your care has the best now possible.
Special thanks to all of our sponsors. At this time, we're going to take a short break. Please don't go too far. And we will be back in just a few minutes for the second half of Teepa Snow.
So when Joe says a short break, we are going to come back in 8 minutes. 8 minutes. It'll be 5 after, because you guys deserve a break today to do nothing other than maybe just move. So take those minutes and we will kick off at 5 after. Okay. I'm back.
Okay, we are back. And without further ado, I'd like to reintroduce you to the world-renowned dementia care specialist, Teepa Snow. Teepa, take it away.
Thanks, Joe. And I will. So those of you, you might have noticed I changed something while you guys were out doing your thing. I looked a little different. Yeah. So what do you notice is a little different about me? What did you pick up on? I'm curious how. I'll back up a little bit so you can see me a little bit more. Okay, I've got a shirt. Now, did you notice about the shirt? Early on, I don't know whether you noticed or not, I actually have a shorter, a 3/4 length shirt on under this. What do you notice about these sleeves? I mean, I'll just see. What do you notice about the shirt? It's a little big on me. Actually, it's not my shirt at all. And it is on backwards. It's only fastened on the top button. Anything else somebody noticed? What else do you notice? Because it's not just I got a shirt on backwards. I mean, I'll make more noise with it. That might help you out. What else do I have on? They're called emergency rain ponchos. I have on an emergency rain poncho. Really cheap. You can buy them really, really cheap. The thing I still have is I have my name tag. It's under the emergency poncho, but it is on the backward shirt. And you notice how the sleeves are really long? There's purpose to all this. So even though I'm doing something sort of different, it doesn't seem that different because I could wear a plastic cover just because it's raining outside and I could have a shirt on unless you're paying a lot of attention. And if I went, knock, knock, hey, it's Teepa. Oh, what? Gotta, oh man, I gotta get this, I gotta put this on. Yeah, before I come in, I want you to stay. I gotta wear a mask. I hate it. This is what I sound like. It's sort of hard to, yeah, but when it's on, I'm still me. Oh, so I'm gonna put this on. Oh, I gotta do this. Man, I gotta do this. Watch, I gotta do that. There's that one. Oh yeah. Yeah, I gotta do that. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. And then I'm gonna do this. Yeah, I hate it. I hate it. Ooh, but now I want to show you this. So, hey, now I want everybody to think, what did I just do? And why do you think I might have done it? What did I just do and why do you think I might have done it? And I'm gonna take that off because, you know, that's the plus of being virtual is we can pretend and we don't have to stay in this thing the whole time. What was I doing? Why was I doing it that way? Let's see what you guys come up with because I'm curious. And by the way, my topic is called communication. So I'm actually making sure I do everything I need to do, but I'm also doing some other really important things in what is safe space. What I'm doing is showing the person I'm still me, if you remember me. If you don't, I'm me, a human being with a mouth, with eyes, with a smile. I'm me before I become this thing you may not be able to see as me, understand as easily as me. It makes it really hard because when I do this with my eyebrows, it's really hard to tell whether I'm laughing or if I'm frowning. Believe it or not, from your nose to your chin provide immeasurable amounts of information to people living with dementia. It helps identify a face. Actually, human beings identify one another by going eye, mouth. It's a triangle. It's the triangle and the edges that help us figure out who somebody is. And we also use their voice, the cadence, the sound, the intensity of their voice, how they typically sound. But the problem is this thing called COVID is robbing me of a major way I share with you. But it's also robbing you of the major way you can understand me. So what I did is I paused, and before I tried to come on in and start doing what I do, I actually showed you me, and then I layered myself piece by piece so that you would see me become this person, not just experiencing this thing coming in this weird way. So what it does is it serves to remind me of things, but it also helps you understand I don't like this any better than you do. If I had my druthers, man, we would be exactly where we were. But there was one final thing I did. I promise I'll stop when I get to the right layer, but I've got to tell you, man, the other thing I've got to really realize if I'm going to be doing this for real, and I have, is that I need to be wearing real lightweight underneath, because the amount of layering, environments for people living with dementia, older adults, people as they progress, often have to be warmer than I would enjoy them, particularly if I'm going to do intimate care. Because with intimate care, we're often asking people to go down to intimate. And that means they're going to get much more uncomfortable more rapidly with air temperature changes than I am. Except if I'm really miserable, it's going to be hard for me to really focus on what matters, which is my communication and my skill delivery and the interaction. So we need to really be planning, preparing, thinking ahead. And so because I don't want to waste really precious PPE, we know that this virus is very vulnerable to soap and water. It's vulnerable to alcohol. It's vulnerable to hydrogen peroxide. I mean, a lot of stuff will kill this virus. Unfortunately, this virus will kill a lot of people if we're not careful. So what we can do is take things like men's dress shirts that are too big for us. In the back, either go with Velcro, a tie, or just one big button or a button of some sort, and provide yourself with your own PPE, because when I now hug a person, help a person, oh yeah, let's get out of this mystery thought that I can stay 6 feet out. I don't know who hasn't really thought that through, but we need these specific guidelines on how to engage in intimate space rather than trying to keep talking about socially distancing. And we need it for practical purposes for people who do not have COVID, have not had COVID, and neither have I. But we want to try to maintain a boundary that's safe, but we can't act like we aren't going to get intimate, because for people who are in the same household for long periods of time, we are living together in intimate circumstances. Unless one of us develops COVID, and unless we notice that right away, which speaks to immediate testing and results, not sort of 3 days after when I'm the only provider, we've got to come up with guidelines and things that make sense, because frankly, the guidance we're getting from above is BS. And I'm just going to say it, it's BS. It's not helpful because it doesn't tell me what to do in a real situation where she needs assistance to get out of a shirt. He needs help to pee. I'm not going to stay 6 feet out. They don't have good balance. Why? Because they're socially, this whole thing snowballed out of control. And we haven't done the training and education for people who are living with dementia with this PPE stuff. We just keep talking about stuff as though it's not real life. And it's like, I got to go tomorrow and care for 5 people. I need to know what to do. I need to really be thoughtful about every time I walk in a room, if I have a person living with dementia who doesn't know the rules, he doesn't follow the rules, I need to be able to go in and out of something quickly. I got to do this fast. I've got to be prepared for, hey, I've got to be able to assess myself. My PPE, it isn't shit you put on. It's my brain, it's my memory, and it's my skills. It's my ability to use me and the resources I do have in that moment to keep both of us as safe as I know how. And it's a balancing act. And anybody who thinks it isn't, hasn't been there, hasn't done this, and doesn't have a clue, and yet is often perfectly willing to sit in judgment of those of us who are doing the best we know how. And so I think it's an act of grace. We need to grant one another this acknowledgement of mistakes might very well happen, but we are trying our very best because we're building new habits that do take into account the reality of a person who's living with dementia is not going to put a mask on in some circumstances. They're not going to not touch. They're not going to need a hug. They do. It is the one thing that will keep them alive is a hug. The one thing that they need is to see me and to see me. And so, yeah, I get it. You know, face shields aren't as safe, but you know what? I got my PPE intact. And so I'm going to make my best guess. If there's a situation in which, yeah, there's a little bit of risk, maybe what I need to really pay attention to is how distressed the person is, how upset they are, and which way I'm facing. But this might actually serve me better in a bathroom situation than trying to do this when they think somebody is trying to hurt them and they have a life experience where they were robbed by people in masks. Trust me, it's a real story. So notice my name tag would be on my right shoulder. And I am planning from the very beginning to protect my hands and you, because I sanitized before I started. I have hand sanitizer everywhere. But what I did is I sanitized and allowed that to dry before I began this little routine. I prepared myself fully. I actually have a little fanny pack around the back that has extra stuff in it that I might need. And hand sanitizer is hanging off. It's like an ever present. And it gets refilled regularly. But I then plan, knock, knock, hey, and I plan on offering you my hand coming in because I know that if I have your hand in my hand and we're connected, it's actually safer because I know where your hand is, you know where my hand is, and we can actually communicate with our hands because our hands are neurologically hardwired with our eyes. And they're hardwired into the human brain. And it turns out that if I see something I like, I will tend to move toward it and I'll want to touch it. If I see something I don't like, I will use my hands as either a shield, a weapon, or a tool to get away from that. So the eyes and the hands can be really critical. And I have yet to figure out how I would give someone assistance with mouth care if they have a mask on. And I'm not being funny, I'm just saying people aren't helping because they aren't telling us how to do the things we know need to have happen. The whole point of getting support and help for someone is because they need assistance. They needed it before COVID. Guess what? That part hadn't changed. And being the only person caring for someone, I can't care for another human body 24/7. I've got to at least take a break to sleep. And if their sleep and my sleep aren't matching up, then I am going to not be able to use my PPE well because I won't have rested and restored it so that it's in good working order for the next day. I've got to take in nourishment and take care of my brain and my body with some things that I need to keep me fit if I am going to actually try to do the thing that they need. I mean, by virtue of someone starting to have brain changes, this partnership has to expand to include at least one other human being, so that when this person who's living with dementia needs assistance, it could be me, I've done it before, but it could also, I could trade places and these two people could come together and I could take a break. Because if I don't recognize humans are not designed for 24/7 of another adult without taking care of yourself, that's just not a reasonable thing. So I've got to figure this out, and our system doesn't make it easy. And that's what's making it really difficult, because now we've added a fear factor of COVID. So let's talk a little bit more about communication. But rather than talk about it, I'm going to go ahead and share a little bit of some thoughts and ideas. And to do this, I'm going to go back to our video clip. Oh, this one's a little different. And in this one, I have someone in a fairly advanced state of dementia. I mean, they have gone through some of the early things. They actually went through the middle of it a while back, and now they're full into the late state, but they're still mobile. Now, what we may or may not recognize is this is accelerated dramatically during COVID isolation, because unfortunately there were not guidelines that separated out memory care communities that were initially designed as having sleeping places and then having activity spaces. And they were designed as home settings, so that one of the reasons we did it is so people would come out of their small space and into the larger space, come out of their bedroom and their bathroom areas and come into a space and engage. And so we built this whole thing on the premise that engagement, be it one-on-one, small group, large group, engagement was essential. And there were places and spaces we were going to share, because we got it that people being in isolation, self-imposed or otherwise, is not good for a human brain in the long run. Yes, we want to balance how much we're with and how much we're apart, but our community settings and even our home programs, our community programs were designed, we got it. We got to get people into group. We got to keep people engaged in some fashion. And we can modify that. And what some of our providers have found out is like, well, we can still do some of that, but when it comes to care is intimate. And so some of it just has to be supported intimately. And with dementia, it's coming. So the lady we're going to take a look at and the situation we're going to view is somebody who really, clearly is going to need hands-on support pretty much 24/7, because we can't even count on her staying in sleep state for a significant amount of time unless we drug her. And if we drug her, we run the risk that when she wakes up, she won't have all her PPE, all of her thinking skills, her movement skills, and we know she's changing. So we increase the risk of those other things. We also know that when we use medications that sedate a system, it's not selective. So it may help and it may be necessary because there aren't any other resources, but we want to be thoughtful about it and really tuned in to how we prepare around it and how we have alerts and messages. But again, I say 24/7, we're just going to lose two people's brains and bodies and wellness. So let's take a look at a situation. And again, unfortunately, dear me, the first person we have is Sweet Matthew, relatively new. Now I'll give you a few more bits. He's actually going to try to bring engagement opportunities to people in isolation, because there was still, we got to keep folks isolated. So Matthew has a bunch of stuff on the cart. Now, in order to allow you to hear and see clearly what's going on, we did have Matthew and Melanie in these next two video clips take off their mask, because it turns out trying to make videos where you can pick up clues and cues, it's actually a lot easier without masks than with them, because you can see their facial expressions. And the reason we want you to see that is we want you to learn from what you see and hear, not just put the masks on, so it makes it harder for you to possibly get data. So let's take a look at Matthew, because his agenda, his job, he's been assigned, take this cart of supplies down the hall. He has some room numbers because he's relatively new and young, and he's not that skilled yet. He has some people down the hall that he's supposed to take these things to with instructions on what to ask them to do when he gets there. And so he's been queued up to work with selected individuals. And so the Teepa down the hall, that was somebody he was given the name of. And some other people sort of like her because, oh, by the way, after that leaving earlier on, yeah, she's in the dementia specialty area because she eloped. You know, and so that we couldn't count on that not happening again because there wasn't Melanie in the building. Oh dear, these things do happen. And we have families who reach their limited home because the person keeps eloping, trying to get away. I've got to go home, I can't stay here. And we can call that sundowning, or we can call that brain fatigue. We can call it disorientation. We can call it hippocampal failure. We could call it lots of things. I call it distress. I call it a brain that can't figure things out, and our brain being exhausted and not able to think, not being able to respond. So we have Matthew. He's in the dementia unit, and he's going to go down the hall. Let's see what happens when he goes by this doorway, because there's another lady just like the other Teepa, only she's much further along, and she's not on his list because she's a challenge. Pause. Okay, so I am so sorry. You guys, I looked at the chat, my bad. I apologize. I thought I fixed it, but I did not apparently. Let me double check what's going on here. I'm gonna try it again. You guys let me know whether or not now you can hear it, okay? Taylor, can you actually come on for a second and give me a thumbs up if you can hear it so I can tell? Or are you pretending like you're not home? Let me see what happens. I'll check in the chat. Okay, so I'm going to quit sharing for a second. What did you notice that happened in that scenario? Could you hear it when I fixed it? I hope. No, you still couldn't hear it. Oh my heavens, son of a gun. Well, I thought I had repaired it. Let me see what's going on here. I'm on speakers. I'm on speakers. Well, that's interesting. Well, that's not good because this is going to mess things up if I can't get this to work. All right, let me undo this. Redo that. Let me do this. Let me try that. Okay, now let me try that. Okay, I'm doing some adjusting on this end. Let me see if I can figure out what's causing trouble. Okay, now let's see that. You can hear me okay, but you can't hear when I show the video. Oh, shoot. I know what I did. Yeah, I forgot to share sound when I did it this time because I had to restart it and I'm so sorry. There we go. Now I know what I did wrong. So here we go. One more time. I am so sorry. I apologize. I didn't mean to do it. I missed a step. Isn't that the way? Speaks to what happens when you're trying to do a lot of things. Let's try it this time. Is it working now? Before we go any further, you got sound now? Still no sound. Seriously? That is really odd. Huh. Okay. Well, tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to quit playing this completely. So you can hear me, but you can't hear my video. Let me close this down. Let me figure out what else I might have not done that I need to do. That seems like that's up all the way. Let me go over my system. The funny part was how this was working just fine when we were all together before. And so now what you're seeing is me try to figure out what in the world could be going on there. Okay, oh, so it's telling me that my microphone here did not get changed. All right. Okay, let's see if we can get it to work now. Now that I've done all that. Let me come back out of here. Let me click it now, and you guys let me know. I'll be watching the chat carefully. Okay, here we go. You ready? See if you can hear it. Well, my heavens. All right, well, I'm just going to have to give up on this, I guess, though I don't know why suddenly I'm having so much trouble. Anybody have any other ideas? Because I've done every place that I can think of to go. I've got that microphone. It keeps putting it to that one, and that's correct. The microphone should be there. Oh, so it went on and then went off. Well, that's different. Okay, so somehow, okay, here's what we're going to try. I'm just going to get rid of that. I'm going to do that. All right, the sound is up. Okay, now can you hear me, still hear me speaking? Yes, now we're going to see if you can hear this. Okay, let's back it up. Aha. Okay, so is that making sound now? Does that work now? No, still not. Okay, so now I don't know what else to try. All right, I've run out of my hope here. All right, I'm going to have to give up on that one. Okay, let me go to another strategy since we're not going to have that strategy. Got to let it go when it's not working. Best laid plans, mice and men, and all that good stuff. Let me go to this one right here where I'm going to put up can you see the PowerPoint? Let's try that, see how that works for me. All right. All right, so we're off and going. Well, sort of. Not exactly where I wanted to go, but here's the thing about dementia. We know that people's brains are actively dying. We know that we can't fix it. We know that it's progressive. And we know that eventually it is going to kill someone. But until they're gone, what we want to do is become better communicators. And COVID has done this thing that's almost unthinkable. It's robbed us of some of our strategies and ways in which things work better for people living with dementia. It's just so frustrating because the things we know help, it's hard to do. It doesn't mean we can't do anything, but it means we've got to get so much better at what we can still do. And so one of the things that are really vital is that we start to use visual cues to our support instead of causing trouble. So what did you notice that when I started to go and come into the room, into the space, I held up right before I came in. And I have sanitized this sucker. It is well sanitized. Why did I hold it up out here when I came in with my hand offered to you in that situation? What was I wanting you to notice? What was I presenting to you? Something to draw your eye, to make you curious. And so I'm bringing something, and the something is, depending on the individual, if I'm smart, I'm basing it on something that was a positive for you before, something that I know about you from before, something that might have value, something that might bring joy, something that might give you a reason to do something with your brain or your body, or something that might cause you to relax and rest. So here's what I found to bring today. And notice how I'm showing it to you. And I would actually be in the same position, about at arm's length, even if I was personally with you. And I'm showing you this thing, and then I'll bring it in so that if you want to take it from me, I'm okay with that. And what I'm going to tell you is I would never bring something here that I truly thought, when I thought about you, not only who you were, but who you are and how you are now, I thought it would either harm you, or that if you made a mistake with it, it would either hurt you or it would hurt me to lose it. So I picked something that I really find valuable and I care about, but not to such an extent that if something happened to it, I couldn't still have found joy in sharing it with you. So it might be the copy of something that I really value. So instead of bringing an original picture, I may make sure that the picture's been copied. Instead of bringing your real jewelry, I might bring some costume, which you might say, well, this stuff looks like cheap junk. And I'd say, oh my gosh, yeah, I could never get together as well as you could. So, but what I'm going to do is find things that are either similar to simulations of, or if I'm willing to let them go, things that actually are valuable to you, but it's more important that we have good interaction. So I don't know if you guys might recognize the thing I have here. I suspect some of you might. So, and I'll show you at a different angle. And another different angle. Ah, somebody guessed, yeah. So by letting you explore it with your eyes, and if you wanted with your hands, what I do is give you a few seconds to sort of check this out and see what you think of it. And so you're right, it's a bank, sort of, except on top is a fella sitting with a violin, sort of. And he has a yarmulke on there, and he has a beard, and it's a little cottage. And what it immediately reminded me of was da 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 So what I did is I picked something that had potential. Oh, maybe you're somebody who loves musicals, always did. Maybe you're somebody of this faith. Oh, maybe you're somebody who knows that song. Maybe you're someone who played a violin. Maybe you're somebody who likes to put money places. Maybe you like to take the money out. Maybe you're just a curious person who likes to explore things. Maybe I could put something in there so there'd be something to take out. But what I did is I introduced this. Even if my ultimate goal was to help you get clean, change clothes, do whatever, because with all the changes in me, meaning I'm wearing a mask, I'm wearing gloves, I'm doing things that make me not normal. If I'm coming in from out, I need to give us something that connects us now, in this moment. Often built on things from before, but I'm offering you something, and I'm offering a few moments of time to build this relationship again in an intimate space. Now, we can explore it some more, and I want to know more songs. I may want to have a few of them, because what matchmaker, make me a match. Because what I could do is use this to also get you up and moving, get you to try something with me, get you to show me something, get you to come with me, get you to try out something different. I could say, oh, we need to go get a coin. Oh, there's some over here. And so now what I've got you up and doing is because we're going to go do something with this. And then when we get there, I go, oh, something to drink? Come on, let's go. Because what I have to figure out is how to weave my time with you together, how to weave my care for you together with what you need and what you want and what you like. And in this social isolation, it's easy to get task focused instead of making sure we start things, building a relationship of the moment. I want you in this moment to want to be with me. And what you could at least see on that video clip is Matthew's initial reaction is, ooh, this wasn't my plan. I didn't really plan to be with you. I planned to be with somebody down the hall. And you know what? Hey, hey, I'm trying to connect to you because, you know, this isn't really, oh, geez, no. Because as Teepa started doing something that didn't make sense with Matthew's brain really got worried. It got distressed. It got upset because it could not figure out, what am I going to do? This is not okay. Jeez, what is she doing? And he felt like what she was doing was dangerous. When she took the PVC pipe, and instead of going, she's interested in PVC pipe, and showing her something she could do with it, he immediately was just wanting to get it back and get her to stop. And he moved in even a little closer. No. And he got a little more forceful. No, you need to. And then she got a little more adamant that he was not the boss of her, and she didn't like him, and she didn't want him to see him, and she didn't want him close. And when she picked the other thing up, she was actually not even, and I'm going to tell you, not even trying to hurt him. She just wanted him to go away. She was signaling, go back. And what did he keep doing? Come closer, say, And then what everybody frequently misses, because you know what, I've decided I know how to do this. I mean, we're still not going to have sound, which is going to annoy some people. But the problem with about maybe 50% of people we might encounter is they are hard of hearing. And they may hear muffled sound, but they may not be able to make out all the language. And with dementia, they can hear the rhythm of language, but not necessarily get all the content of language. So I've decided we're going to take it to an extreme, and we're going to do this video silently. You guys don't know what's being said, and you're going to need to interpret it from what you can see and what seems to happen. Because the reality is, for some people we're supporting, that's essentially their world. They can't figure us out auditorily. And it's not because we're not saying things, it's not because they're not answering us, but their answers don't make sense to us. So it's actually even more frustrating because they think they're saying one thing and we think they're saying something else. So what I want you to watch is in this little video clip, I actually want you to watch where Matthew ends up and where Teepa ends up, because that's actually a really important element here that frequently, unfortunately, we sort of miss our cues. And what that means is all too often, we're thinking one thing, the person is thinking something else, and what's ending up happening here is we don't end up where we want to be, and that's not a good thing. So let me come here. I'm going to come back into the video for just a second because I do want you to get this piece, if at all possible. Speakers, okay, we're good there. Okay, let's try this. Let's see what happens here. I think I might have figured it out, but we'll see. If we don't have sound, we don't have sound. So here we go. We're going to share the screen. I'm going to share my sound. Yeah, it wasn't muted, but I think I figured out there's a thing on here that sometimes happens. So we'll see what happens. We'll see whether or not I managed to get it to a place that it works or not. But we're gonna move forward, even if it doesn't. Here we go. Let's check and see.
Oh, hey. You're not supposed to leave your room. I'm sorry. Hey, hello? Yeah. Back in your room. Gotta get back in your room. So you can hear. I saw that you can hear, which is a good thing. So did Teepa acknowledge that Matthew said, hey? Did Teepa acknowledge it? Yeah. And she also gave him a sign, yeah. And she flicked him off because she saw him. She doesn't want him. She wants the stuff on the cart. She's already told him a whole lot of stuff. If he was looking at her with more skill, he'd see what's in her hand. He'd see what's in her pocket. And he'd realize, oh, she likes stuff better than she wants. So what she just heard was, he would also know she hears okay, because what drew her out of the room was the sound of the cart going over the speed bump. And so she's out there because it's stuff. And when she moves toward it, I want you to see how deliberate she is at getting what she wants.
Get back in your room.
Hello?
Wow, that was pretty skillful. She reached right out there and picked that PVC pipe up immediately. She's like, oh, well, that's interesting. I think I'll take this. Possession is 9/10 of the law. So she's enjoying, she got this thing because she didn't have anything much in her room. As a matter of fact, we stripped a lot of things out of her room because a lot of things are risky or dangerous for her. And she takes things apart, tears things up. She gets bored in her room and she does stuff. She does intense exploration. So look, new stuff.
Hello? No.
And there's more stuff out there, but if I have stuff in my hand, I'm not going to be able to pick up more stuff. Her brain is smart enough to know if you want more stuff, you got to store stuff so you can get more stuff. The challenge for Teepa is her skill set about being able to hold on to something and get something and do something. She can't do a whole lot at once. So she's storing it for future. And people often store in the center, down the front of them, wherever they can put something so they can hold on to it. And she's figured out that she puts it inside stuff, in the pocket, in her pants, in her bra. She's very likely to be able to find it later, or maybe not, but at least she didn't lose it. She's got it. If she can run across it again.
No, we need you back in your room.
Don't you.
Now, if you want to know what she's saying, excuse me, I don't know who you think you are, young man, but I am fine. I don't need your assistance. You need to go away. I am doing what I need to do and I don't need you. Please leave. And Matthew doesn't get it.
You need to get back.
And he accidentally touched her elbow. Now, unfortunately, because Matthew's the one that's going to document the incident, more than likely he will indicate out of nowhere Teepa became agitated and physically aggressive. Now, what she has in that bag, just so you know, are plastic, it's actually artificial flowers and letters, like foam letters and artificial flowers. So Matthew touched her first, and she is clearly indicating, get away from me, please, just leave me alone. And now here's the really risky, dangerous part that most people totally miss in this whole sequence. Matthew isn't sure what to do with Teepa, and Teepa doesn't like Matthew, and she wants to get away from him since he won't go away. So she goes in somebody else's room. So what just happened to the risk of COVID? Or if the other person doesn't even have COVID, they just have a cold, they have the flu, they don't like Teepa. Get out of here. What happened? We've increased the risk of a negative interaction. So now what I want to show you, is what happens if you do have a set of skills.
And these are very basic skills. And in the PowerPoint, when you look at the PowerPoint, you're going to see these skills. They're how do you initiate? How do you provide something that the person might be interested in? How do you acknowledge their messages? How do you deal when they're starting to have distress? And this is pretty late in the disease. Teepa is actually at pretty high risk for falls. She can't do much on her own. We're going to need to provide intimate care for her. So if she doesn't like us, it's going to make it even harder to do that. So let's watch her with Melanie. What did you notice Melanie do right there? What did y'all notice she did? I mean, she deliberately did it. What did she do? She did it on purpose. You need to see it again? Let me show you. Watch her again. Watch and listen real carefully. She shook the cart. She shook the cart because she wanted to make sure what happened. What did she want to make sure of? Teepa came out. She wants to have Teepa come out when she's ready. She's actually prepared for her interaction with Teepa. She knows Teepa, she didn't want Teepa to stay in that room all the time because Teepa needs to engage. Melanie gets that. She so gets it. Now, she also knows the kind of person Teepa is. She cares and likes stuff more than she likes people. But watch what Melanie does. Very, very skillfully, but it's not rocket science. It's just really basic interaction skills. Oh, she notices. Here she's come. It worked. So Melanie's brain is sort of going, yes, it worked. What Melanie immediately does is she's looking on the cart. What did Matthew report that Teepa got in trouble with? Oh yeah, the PVC pipe. So she takes, now watch carefully, she takes some PVC pipe, and I'm going to ask you what she does. How many pieces did she take? Just one, like Teepa did the first time? She just take one piece of PVC? Showing you again. Look at the skill in her hand because she actually figures out where that PVC pipe is, and then she immediately, her attention is not on the PVC. She knows she's going to get it with her hand. She picks up two of them. Two, because she could do something more with two. How many hands will Teepa have? Oh, you say two? You're right. So PVC pipes for two hands. So if she has something in each hand, what's the probability she'll be looking for something else on the cart? Especially if you guide her visual regard to another location. So let's see what happens.
Teepa!
Okay, now, what was the very first word out of Melanie's mouth? Teepa! What does that seem? When you hear your name like that, when you go, Taylor! When I go, Jill! What does that sound like? Does it sound like, oh shit, here she comes? No, it's like, oh my gosh, it is so good to see you, which is exactly the emotion we want to show because Teepa didn't like people all that much. Teepa! Boy, it's look, a surprise. I didn't think I'd see you. Hell, sure she did. But notice what she's holding there in her, watch what she does with those two pieces of PVC. Because right now, she picked them up in her right hand. Watch what she does. She's really good at this. She's so sneaky because we greet people with a right handshake. Watch what she does.
Hey. Hey.
Without drawing anybody's attention to it, she transferred it to her left, and she now has her right hand free, and she's opening up, and she's going, well, hey. And she looks excited to see Teepa. She puts herself right in the middle of Teepa's field of vision, and then watch what she does.
Hey, baby. Hey, baby.
Whoa, Teepa's friendly. Teepa does a social back and forth. Melanie goes, Teepa, hey, and Teepa goes, well, hey, baby. And she's smiling. Yes, who else gets a moment of satisfaction and at least somewhat pleasurable moment? She didn't like people that much, but she sort of is enjoying Melanie. And it was all because of what Melanie chose to do with herself. Now, Melanie knows this won't last long, so she wants to get connected real quick here and over to the side so she can be supportive. Watch what she does. Oh, did you miss what Teepa just did? I bet you did. I'm going to show it to you again. Watch where Teepa has her dirty napkin Kleenex thing. Where is it? It's in her right hand. Remember, she had it in her right hand, and when she reached for the PVC pipe with Matthew, it was still in her right hand, which is why one of the reasons she had to shove it down in her pants. She was busy. But watch what Melanie gets Teepa to do.
Hey, baby.
She substitutes and moves that over to her other hand while she gives Melanie her right hand in a handshake. And now Melanie's gonna.
Hey, baby. Yeah.
Now, very quickly, Melanie is over to the side. Now, if you want to do this handshake thing, you classically cannot do it with yourself. A handshake only really works if you offer it to another human being to connect. And that's why we use it as a sign and a signal. Look, I have no weapon. I offer you friendship. I offer you a connection. I offer you a relationship. And by offering a handshake, when you've done your cleaning, what it says is, I want to be with you. And what we do, now go ahead, and I'm going to give you a fake way to do this, just because, you know, the problem is, quite frankly, we are going to get an intimate space with these folks. So take your left hand, pull your thumb in like it's your little finger, put the other fingers together, and now raise your little finger up like it's your thumb. But it's pretend. This is all pretend. This would be the other person's hand. Take your hand like you're going to offer a handshake. Shake hands with yourself. And now rock your fingers on your right hand upward so they're pointing up. And now you have your, like, making your arm is, your left arm is out straight and your right arm is pointing, forearm is pointing up. And now lay it down, closing your fingers over the hand. And what you get is called hand under hand. My hand is under yours in support. I have all my skill fingers available to do some manipulation and stuff. You're lying there feeling comfortable at this moment. But what I've done is I've wired the two brains together, because these guys right here are incredibly hardwired to your eyes and to your brain, your movement center. So this is huge. And so what Melanie does now is she's going to take this and immediately transfer it to stuff, because she knows Teepa isn't going to want to stay connected with her long. It was just agreed. She was just being friendly. So watch how she does this transition.
Yeah, look.
She starts it with look, as she's moving the items, the stuff, into the same area where the hand is. And look at Teepa looking. Melanie, ooh, it looks like it might work. So watch now.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
Oh,
yeah,
as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Okay, yep, Teepa's done with Melanie. Now she's got stuff, but what is she going to do with that stuff? Is that a little different than what Matthew got? What are we noticing Teepa's willing to do with that stuff? What is she doing already with it? Hang on. What did Melanie show her to do with it? She showed her how to make rhythm with it. This doesn't take a lot of skill, but what she did is she gave Teepa something to do with these two things that occupy both hands. And guess what Teepa went for? Oh, yeah, cool. She's already engaged with it. Melanie's already been successful. So now what Melanie's thinking is, okay, now let me see if I can help her go back in her room, because, you know, I do have these other people to go do, but I wanted to make sure Teepa was occupied, and maybe she'll go back in her room and do this. Let's see whether that works or not.
Hey, Teepa, yeah. Let's go this way.
Oh, oops. So where does Teepa think Melanie wants her to go? Back in her room? No, Teepa's thinking we're going to go down the hall. Melanie's thinking, yeah, no, in the room. In your room?
Hey, Teepa. Yeah, no, I don't
And then Teepa goes, yeah, no. Right there. She looked, she glanced where Melanie's, nope, I'm not doing that. Now, is that a big movement? And again, what Teepa's trying to do is communicate, no, I'm not going back in that place. I need out of there. That's all she's saying is, I know, I need out of here. I can't stay. I don't want to go back in there. Is that fair? I mean, this idea, we've got to start recognizing Teepa's voicing, it's not working for me in there anymore. I need to be out here for a little bit. So notice what's down the hall a little bit there. Melanie's done her magic again. She's got a chair. Let's see what she does.
I got it.
No,
okay,
no.
yeah.
Oh, and then the unexpected happens. Now that was not intentional. It just so happened that the fastening at the end, these things do, you can take them apart, put them together. The bad news is when she did that, it came off. So what Melanie does, Melanie does an emergency interaction here. She goes down and gets it because does she want Teepa to bend down and get it? Nope, because she's not in a good position to keep Teepa safe. So this is a very risky moment where Melanie has to make a split-second decision to bend down, get that piece, and stand back up. Because if she can do that quickly enough, Teepa's going to stay engaged and keep going with her and not try to get down and get that thing. And because Melanie's not in a good place to keep Teepa safe, she doesn't want to risk it. So somebody asked earlier, what do you do when it's a dangerous situation? And again, you have to be really in this moment to decide, okay, we got to go somewhere. Where could we go? Not, I've got to tell her, I got to get her back because she can't go anywhere. It's like, well, we got to go somewhere. Where are we going to go? Really getting your brain to go, what are my options? What are my options? And it works a whole lot better when your brain is rested and feeling confident and competent and skilled. So let's see. Uh-oh.
Did you get it?
Oh, and then Teepa wants it fixed. She doesn't want to just keep doing the thing Melanie wants. She wants to get it fixed. Teepa likes it like she likes it. So Melanie has to go, ooh, okay, let me put it back on there.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Yeah. Teepa, huh? Oh, come on. Clap, 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 clap.
Now, if you're really paying attention, your brain should be going, wow, Teepa needs more exercise. Look at her walking, man. She is just bringing that 1 foot up to match, 1 foot up to match. She is not walking like she was walking before. She is not moving around as much as she was moving around before. Her risk of falls is so high. We have got to get her out of this room more and do more moving. We have got to get her engaged in more. I'm already thinking about music. I'm thinking about engagement. I'm thinking about opportunities to get her out of there where I can keep her, you know, maybe not with too many people, but I've got to start thinking, how do I build a program of life, not just try to keep things from happening? And again, I'm going to have you look when we're done, how many minutes this is going to be, because again, we want to keep it short.
Yeah.
You got it.
I got it.
You got it.
Now, this is where Melanie is using skill.
You know, get it? Yeah.
Oh. Teepa doesn't actually realize, oh, look, a chair, until Melanie turns her around and she sees the chair. And now watch how Teepa's sitting.
Good.
Whoa,
Yeah.
she loses her balance to the back. That means she's at higher risk for losing control when she goes to sit on a toilet, in a chair, on a shower chair. But we want to work on that. We don't want to just let that happen, but that means we've got to build in things that allow us to do that other than when we're doing those tasks in little bites. So Teepa's down, things are good. So Melanie could go get an overbed table now, a stable one, put it in front of Teepa, put some more PVC there or something, maybe on a towel, and maybe put some music on with some rhythm. There are lots of possibilities that she could do. And then in a few minutes, come back by and say, hey, Teepa, come on, and show her something and take her back down, because now going to her room wouldn't be as much of a challenge, especially if there was something in there that she could see that might make it worth going. So I'm going to quit sharing here because number one, I'm almost out of time. Number two, though, what I'm providing for us is this idea that when we're in these situations, if our brain isn't in a good place, we're not, and we don't have the skills, we're going to get stuck. If we have the skills and our brain is getting what it needs in the day, we're going to be in a better place for making a difference, for making things work better. So
I wanted to do a couple of things, and yet we are, when my video messed up, we really ran out of time. But I want to honor and respect you guys. What I thought I would do is again, offer up that we're going to go through some Q&A here. You guys ask questions and we see what we can do. Now, I am hoping that one of our folks from JCC might be able to help me out by being able to bring up the questions that are in the chat. And if not, I'll try to look at that. Oh, look, there's Taylor. I knew I could count on her.
Good morning.
There she is. Oh, she's had her shower and everything.
Yeah, I did not know I was going live. So there's no makeup on, but I'm going to fake it, Teepa.
I knew I was going live. Guess what? All right. So I'm going to let you deal with some of my questions, and I am actually going to go answer that first one. I'm going to show you something on answering the first one as you're sort of reading it, because I saw that I already have one. So I'm going to go ahead and put that up. Yeah. So you want to read it out for everybody, just so we have it?
How do you help your loved one not to rub eyes after surgery?
Yeah, so one of our challenges with a surgery is it says that it's uncomfortable. And so what I have to do is I want to ask the person who does the surgery, what can you do that would reduce the sensitivity? Is there anything you can give me that's either local, topical, anything that would reduce eye sensitivity? Is there something I can do? Is it that it's crusty? What's going on up there? So I need more data about what could possibly be bothering that person's eyes given that surgical procedure. Because I want to know, are they rubbing it because it hurts, because it's uncomfortable, because they feel like there's something there? Because like after some surgical procedures, what happens is fluid builds up in that area and it's sort of a serum, and so it's crusty. It isn't like just liquid. It's not like water. It's like a serum that gets sticky. And so what the person might be trying to do, quite honestly, is if you've ever had sleep eyes, you're rubbing the sleep out, and as opposed to they're uncomfortable because they stitched, they implanted a lens or they did something along that line. So some of it depends on the specifics. But what I want to do is engage their hands in things. And when they start to do this, so go ahead and start up with your hands, Taylor. Taylor, hey, my friend. Hey. And I've got to be prepared with hand, and what I want to do is shake hands, put hand sanitizer on my hand, and then put a little extra on, and then go, Taylor, hey, and I'm doing the hand sanitizer. But what I need to recognize is eyes are one of the most sensitive part. This is that thing that we get everything in. So I'm going to have to work on an active engaging, but I also need to find out from the provider of surgery, what is this doing potentially that is either uncomfortable or painful? And we got to deal with that, because I want you to deal with that before we do the surgery next time. So anybody who's on here who might have a surgical procedure around eyes scheduled, or any part scheduled, we want to find out how can you keep that from being an irritant, because what I do that exactly, you don't want it rubbed. So you're absolutely right. I don't want it with hand sanitizer. So what am I going to do that time? I'm going to have washcloths already prepped, moistened with water. And I'm going to have them in a little cooler, and I'm going to pull one out, and I'm going to take that washcloth and provide it to the person, because I'm going to keep doing hand care, because frankly, you're not going to keep somebody from touching their, the reality is you won't keep them from touching their eyes if their eyes are bothering them. What I can do is engage their hands more, but if it's not just a nervous behavior, like they don't just touch and rub their eyes in general, what it's telling us is something about this isn't comfortable or is hurting me. And so we want to talk to providers about that. Our person is at a place where verbal interaction isn't going to keep somebody from doing something,
that's uncomfortable. No, don't touch your eyes, because they can't hold on to that. And it's a natural instinct. It's one of the reasons we're having such a hard time controlling this virus, because it is natural when we go to do stuff for ourselves. We use our hands on our face all the time, and we use our hands in the world all the time. And remembering to do this pause in between, I do something out here and I want to touch myself, I have to clean my hands. I touch myself, I do something here, and I've got to clean my hands before I do anything else. It's just not natural. And we've had to build it in as an unnatural act in the midst of what's natural. And what they're saying is, something's bothering me, it's natural to try to resolve it. Unfortunately, I'm just making it worse. So it could be that eye drops more frequently. It could be a different kind of eye drop. It could be that they add something to the eye drops so that the intensity of what I'm feeling isn't so great. It could be I need a pain reliever that nobody was thinking about, because not a central acting one, but I may need something that just takes the edge off. Or I might need the edema dealt with, because there could be swelling in that area that it's bothering me. But we need people thinking beyond what they tend to think, which is, well, I did my part, I did the surgery. And it's like, you provided surgery on someone who has brain failure. I am living both with the results of your surgery and their brain failure. And your outcome, I don't want you blaming it on them because you didn't assess your patient adequately. Sorry, it happens. People are expert in their areas, but one thing they are frequently unaware of is what happens as dementia progresses. So, okay, so that's the best I can do for that one. I mean, yeah, would I like to go to the surgeons' places and say, hey guys, if they have this level and ability in dementia, have you addressed that in post-care or not? Because if you haven't, so
ready for the next one, Teepa?
I'm ready. I'm done ranting and raving. Okay.
So this is from Nancy Brunner. How do you handle when helping someone with a task that they cannot do because it's dangerous for them to do, and yet they feel incompetent and feel worse with the help that you're providing?
Yeah. So can you give me an example of a task? Because is it an intimate care task? Is it an environmental care task? Is it a care for others task, a care for an animal task? Give me a little hint on what it relates to so I can make it more purposeful.
Nancy, can you put that in the Q&A box? What are you referring to specifically?
Like, and you know, while we're talking, I'll go ahead, and I saw another question while we're waiting for Nancy maybe to respond. Let me go ahead and categorize the kinds of activities that fill a day. Things that give us a sense of value and purpose, we used to call them work activities, but now we'll call them valuable, productive activities. Activities that give us a sense of enjoyment and pleasure. So they are called leisure. We used to call them leisure or free time activities. We have activities that are good for us. So we do them because they're good for us. They're either good for our body or good for our brain. And those include personal care, but they also include body fitness activities and brain fitness activities. And then the fourth category is restorative. Every human needs to restore themselves in a 24-hour period, and we call it rest and restoration, or sleep and relaxation. Turns out a human body needs that, and a human brain needs that in order to keep going. Now, there's a balance to that. And the next thing I was going to show you is there are 5 categories. I call it 5 categories of props or things to use to help us achieve that. People. So people help people do stuff. And it could be because I'm doing it for somebody, or I'm doing it with someone, or it's about people. It's about animals. Animals are often a driving force for many people. Our dog, our cat, the animals in the world, and it could be a live animal, or as things progress, a animated animal or a automated animal, or pictures of animals, or it can actually be stuffed animals for some people who are progressing at a certain level, plants or trees or horticulture. So the term is often horticulture, the plant world. So some people are more into fauna than they are into animals. They're more into the things around. By the way, animals can include birds and bird watching and bird feeders, but seeds and plants and trees and leaves and nature.
And then we have objects or stuff. Teepa was into stuff, all kinds of stuff from my past, stuff that has value, meaning that I can do stuff with, tools, objects, all kinds of things, utensils. And then there's music or sounds. So it could be sounds as in rhythm sounds or nature sounds or the sounds of different things or music. And these are the most powerful tools I have found. And then what I'm going to send along and have Polly add into our thing are a list of productive activities. So what can you do? You can count things, you can fold things, you can mark things, you can clean things, you can take things apart, you can move things from place to place. You can cook, you can bake, you can set up, you can break down. I mean, this is a laundry list of potential, and who the person is and their skill set determines what you do. And here's 2 examples. Like you could do something, and I'm showing you all kinds of stuff that you could do, or make something. And depending on the skills of the person, there's a whole bunch of different possible activities of each of those. Yeah, paying bills, washing dishes. I mean, you know, it's not like it's all or none. It's not like it's everything or nothing. And so these are examples of ways you can engage people. Leisure activities, active versus passive, and self-care activities. I've put a whole bunch of stuff down there, and then rest and restoration activities, because we need those in the day, because this is what we do when we're not in the 5 minutes of active. These are things that people need in between. These are the transitions. So we do the activity, and then these are transitions in and out. So what do I do when I'm not doing that thing? I do something else. This is the something else. These are the low-grade activities. So I'll quit sharing now, but I'll make sure that those are in the PowerPoint for later. So you could take a look at those things and see if you can find something on there that might help.
So Nancy provided us with 3 different examples,
Okay,
Teepa.
cool. Excellent.
She said, let's say they want coffee and you make it for them and hand it to them, but they don't want it then. She also said carrying stuff, which is dangerous while she's walking with her walker. And the third was her mom wants to cook, but can't remember how. And when I help her, she gets very angry.
Yeah, so Taylor, I'm going to have you be her mom. Okay, so hey, mom. Coffee? Or something else?
Something else.
Something else. Would you rather, hey, mom, would you rather have water or coffee?
Water.
Okay, here you go. So even after I made the friggin' coffee, I never walk in with just the coffee. This or this, because your mom sort of lives in a moment. And when she doesn't have a sense of choice, she chooses. I choose no. I choose to be the boss. I choose to be the one in charge. And she doesn't do it to be mean. She's doing it because her brain is demanding control. I want to be in control of something. So I got you to make the coffee and now I won't drink it. Boy, is that control. Isn't that cool? So what you may want to do is pick 2 things she tends to be okay drinking, and the one she asked for, and then one that she didn't ask for, but you know she might enjoy in the moment. I don't really care which one she picks. I just want her to drink something. I really just want her to enjoy living. And so when I say, would you rather have a coffee or would you rather have, you know, juice, water, whatever it is, whatever the other thing is. And then she might very well pick the coffee because she has choice, and that's control. On the other hand, when she wants to carry something, and I go, you're ready to take that? You want to take that in there? So you're wanting to go in there. Now you have your walker and you got to, oh man, this is. So what I might actually check into is, can her walker have a shelf on it? Because there's these walkers that are made to have like a carry space on them. And what we can do is we can put stuff on that. And so she's pushing the walker and carrying the thing. What I would also say is you may want to check with your PT about the possibility of forearm supports. Because with forearm supports on a rolling walker, you actually have your forearm supported at the right height. And then you can actually hold on to things while you're moving forward, because those forearm supports, you don't actually need to hold on to your walker. They're on your walker, there are upright posts, but I could actually be in position and still hold something while I'm moving. Because here's the deal, we have to adapt to their changing brains, and it may take a physical therapist or an occupational therapist or some kind of expert to say, oh, so she needs to carry things while she's walking versus it's not safe for her to walk and use the walker and carry things. It's like, I think we all got that part. So how are we going to get her to be okay with not doing it? Because if you can show me how to do that, I'm game. If you can't show me how to do that as a healthcare provider, then I need you to give me another alternative that will keep her relatively safe. Not as safe as if she wasn't carrying things. But here's the thing, we gotta rethink. We've got to rethink things. Sometimes it's the color of the cup. Sometimes it's just, it's that kind of stuff. So that last opportunity, what was it? Oh, cooking. What I say, hey, Mom, should I add the salt first or the sugar first in this cookie recipe? What do you think? It's supposed to be with the butter. Is it the salt or the sugar that goes in first? And I'm showing her salt and sugar. Guess what? You ready? It doesn't friggin' matter. Tell you what, stir for me. Does that look about right? You are so much better at this than I am. The downside of you being such a good cook, I didn't learn very much. You always make the best cookies. So Mom, the flour, should I put it in like 1 cup at a time or should I put it all in? Oh, all of it at once. Ah, man, I should have remembered that. I totally forgot that. You have to act dumb, but not in a stupid way, but you have to give her a sense of value and purpose. It's her kitchen, it's her cooking. You got to figure out how to give her a sense of that if you're going to do it. Now, what I'm going to say is you may decide I'm not the right one to do this because she gives me the hardest time. Maybe if I have somebody come in, this is where they take the lead, because let her boss them around, because she and I in the kitchen have never worked well. So you know what? She's always complained about everything I've done in the kitchen. I'm going to say, time out. I'm going to go here. You guys do something in here because you're better at it than I am. That's the hard part, is figuring all that out. So I'm not talking about a quick fix, but that's a possibility. May not work all the time, but it's maybe in the direction of travel. Okay, what you got?
Okay, incontinence care and showering seems to be the most frustrating for families. What do you feel are some of the best techniques for success?
You can't get to third base if you never did first. And what we tend to do is how many of you would be comfortable? Let me just ask you, I'm going to come to your house, I'm going to come in, and then I'm going to say, let's go to the bathroom, you get naked, and I'll keep my clothes on, and I'll start touching you in inappropriate places. How's that sound? Are you thinking that's a good plan?
No.
Are you volunteering?
No.
No. Well, that's what we want people living with dementia to accept, that even though I've been here multiple times, that it's going to be okay. I'm your daughter. I mean, how many of you think around a daughter you'd be particularly comfortable taking all your clothes? I mean, for some people that is a comfortable place. For a lot of us, it would not be. I mean, who we've been our whole lives is our private people. So we want to start with smaller expectations, and we also want to seek assistance before we make it a battle, because once it is a battle and it becomes territorial, it's my decision, not yours. What we end up with is a huge challenge. So we want to be thoughtful about that. I would also say intimate care is often done in small spaces. So one of the things to think about is start with hand washing. Start with, hey, Taylor, smile again, because I thought I noticed something. Can you smile a second? You've got something on your teeth. Tell you what, let's go. Let's see if we can get your toothbrush. And maybe it looks like it's stuck or something. So we go into the bathroom for mouth care and just a little bit of cleanup on that. And then I say, you know what? While we're here, I notice, look down right here. You've got something like right here on the back of your shirt. I don't know if you can see it here. Tell you what, slip it off and let me show you what it is. And so we slip it off, and what it is it's hand sanitizer. You want to know how you got hand sanitizer on your back? I'm not going to tell you, but it was on my hand. So when I was doing something, I put some hand sanitizer on your back so that when you took it off, there would be something there. And I'd say, here, tell you what, let's put this on while I get that one cleaned up for you. And so I offer a choice with something that is resembling logic. But we need to break it down into smaller pieces and build relationships that are strong before we start trying to do something that's intense. And what we try to do is a quick run and done. And all it does is make the person more distressed, more unwilling, and more frightened of us, and more adamant that we're not doing that. And we make it hard for ourselves because we're having a hard time hearing what they're saying. So just as Matthew was, he wasn't doing anything wrong. It just wasn't anything right for Teepa. And so it's really, it is an art, it is a skill, and it does take time. And it's one of the hardest things to accept is when people are living with dementia, they're missing they're missing the awareness of the passage of time. They don't know how long it's been since they bathed. They don't know that they better go to the bathroom now or they're going to end up wet. They don't realize that they are incontinent. They're not getting it. Even if they do, the last thing they want is someone else knowing it. And so they'd rather stay in a chair wet than they would get up and reveal to everyone that they've had an accident. So we've got to rethink our own approach to this. And it's one of the hardest things we ask people to do because there's so much emotional memory and baggage from child care. And we tend to view elders with incontinence as returning to children. And that is so not the case. I don't have a healthy brain and bladder and bowel that's learning to manage itself and just having to build awareness. I'm dealing with a system that used to function fine and due to a variety of reasons doesn't work well now. And to expect me on top of everything else to figure out my dementia so I can figure out that, it's asking way too much of families and way too much of hands-on care staff that we don't prepare for this. And then we're all frustrated. So it's a big topic, and it is one of the top-notch problems, that and afternoon stress and distress and needing to go home kinds of things, which it's all about where I am isn't comfortable. What we're doing isn't good for them in that moment.
So Teepa, here's the next question, very relevant to the times. How can we support caregivers when it's not safe to take on caregiving during the time of COVID? For example, kids supporting parents, supporting the parents that have dementia. How is that possible? What can be done?
Well, if we don't give them some options, people keep doing things that are unsafe because they feel like they don't have options. So if nothing else, what today hopefully did was start to raise up what our options are. Things that we never saw as options, we might need to start thinking of as options. Online stuff, we would never have viewed it before as our first choice, but sometimes it is a choice. Looking at what is possible. It's not ideal, but it's possible. Looking at what if we try? Let's do some balancing. And one time one of my magic skills is to say, okay, so what if we look at these two options? Which one do you want to try? Because what's going on, that's not working. So which of these two do you want to try? Both of them are risky, and we think they're about equal risk. Which one do you want to give a shot? Which one? Because we got to pick one. So which one are we going to move with? And if it's not working after we try it, we'll reevaluate. And you know what? We've done some advanced planning. If it actually ends up that this turns out to be a horrible situation, we've got to have a timeout and back up. But otherwise, we've got to start moving forward. And it's uncomfortable, and I hate it for you. And this is one of the hardest things anybody's ever going to ask you to do. But doing something that isn't working, it's killing both of you. And it's putting both of you at such high risk for something becoming a disaster. Let's at least try one thing. And I'm asking as a huge favor. And that is one of the most powerful things is I'm asking for a favor. I get it. This is hard, but I'm asking us as a favor for a human being who cares. I'm asking us to try. And that's all I know to do, because there is no easy answer. And it's really about relationships that are compassionate, that are authentic, that really are empowering. I'm trying to empower you for something. And most importantly, that, we want to support one another. We've got to, but I've got to stay curious about what's making it so hard for you. And now, quite frankly, we have used up all of our time. And I know we probably didn't get to all the questions.
I think we have one. Can we do one last one, Teepa?
One last one.
Okay. So it says, I think this is a good one. What do you say to someone who says, I don't want to be here over and over again? I want to go home, but they're really home.
Yeah, you don't want to be here. This is not where you want to be. This may be where you are, but it's not where you want to be. This is hard. So you need to get home. Do you need to do something there, or you just want to be there? So what I just did, I listened to your message. You don't want to be here. This is where you are. This is not where you want to be. So in other words, in your brain, this is not your home, even though it is. And it's not where you want to be. I acknowledge that. And then I say, do you want to get home? I heard your message. Do you need to do something there, or you just want to be there? Because what I want to find out is, are you needing something to do that makes you feel like you're in control, or do you just want to be somewhere because this place is so scary? This place is so not right for you. Are you looking for a place to be, or are you looking for something to do? And when I hear that you want to go there, you just want to be there, is there someone there that you need to help, or someone there that will help you? So I'm trying to sort out, and this is a process of me sorting out what's the why behind the need, because what you're expressing is an unmet need. And whether it's accurate or inaccurate, it's the only thing you have to give me. And that's what I can work with, is what you're giving me. And I've got to get curious and interested in it so I can figure it out with you, because that's all I can do. I can't do something else other than that. That's all I have to operate with, because your brain is broken and mine is trying hard to figure out what it is your brain is actually trying to share with you, to share with me. And I've got to accept the message that for right now, this is not your home. And I am not your favorite person. Although we may have been married for years, or I may be your daughter that we love each other, but you don't like me right now. And there's a whole variety of reasons why, and it could be having to do with my patterns and your patterns in the past. It could be having to do with you need to pee and you don't want to pee in somebody's house that you don't know. It could be that you're tired and you just want to rest. It could be that you think you have small children at home because at 3 o'clock the bus came. I got off that bus and you were always there for me. And now I'm not me. I am, but you can't see me. Or maybe I was a little bit bossy earlier today and you don't want to be with me anymore. Or maybe you're back in your own childhood and you're looking for your mom. I mean, the options are so varied, so very varied, that it's so important for us to be curious and really be committed to really trying to figure it out. And it's really hard at 3 p.m. when you've already put in like hours. But seeking support virtually, if nothing else, to figure out you're not the only one, and that there are possibilities for something different to do. But exploring what they are with an individual, it takes a little time and effort to make that work. And we may not get it right the first or second or even fifth time. But if we're still willing to make mistakes and learn from them, it can get better. But it will only be over when it's over. And guess what? Tomorrow's another day. All right. Well, I hope this CARE conference, even though it was virtual, had value. I am so glad you guys are here. And Jill and company, you guys did an amazing job. Taylor, Jill, Joe, the whole crew. Thanks for having me. And
thank you so much, Teepa. Always an array of knowledge that we learned from you, and we can't thank you enough. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Thank you to our wonderful sponsors for making this all possible. And thank you to our families for being here today. The JCC is here. I saw in the chat box that you were looking for the PowerPoints, and I wanted to reassure you there will be an email coming out tomorrow that will include all of the PowerPoints for the presentation today. So thank you and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Take care all. Thanks, Teepa. You're the best.
Thanks, guys. Glad to do it.
Thank
Sorry
you.
it wasn't like it usually was. Oh, well.
It was great, and I hope we can do it again soon.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye now.